up, YouTube? Welcome in to the official Texas Sports Unfiltered pre-game show. Today is Saturday, September 16th, 2023, and we are getting you set for the Longhorns matchup against the Wyoming Cowboys tonight at DKR Texas Memorial Stadium. We are with you until 6:30 right here on the Texas Sports Unfiltered YouTube channel and on the Texas Sports Unfiltered app. Make sure you download that if you haven't done so already. It is free in the App Store and in Google Play. I am BK Brad Kellner, joined as always by my good buddy, Bucky BK. We've got Brock here on site as our engineer/producer, and we are live at Covert in BK from the Covert BK studios. Buck, Texas taking the field for the first time since that massive road win at Alabama last Saturday. One of the biggest regular season victories in Texas football history. Now the Longhorns back at it, and they are expected to take care of business tonight. They are 30-point favorites against a Wyoming team that's coming in here also at 2-0.
Yeah, this is a game that the fans will be there. There'll be over 100,000 there tonight. Maybe even a record crowd tonight after a win against Alabama on the road. You know, number 4 team in the nation with an opportunity to go 3-0. BK, it's this city will be jumping. I know it's just Wyoming, people will say, but it's been a long time since this team has an opportunity to be 3-0 in any year, much less a year after coming off of beating Alabama and Tuscaloosa. So place should be jumping tonight. Still a little humid outside. The weather is, we had some rain earlier today. Feels going to be a little moist. So, and once again, you and I have talked about this all week long, and I had talked about the possibilities of having some wet balls out there tonight.
You did.
And there's still that possibility, and guys aren't used to handling that right now. So it'll be very interesting. Ball security will be at a premium tonight, and hopefully for the Texas Longhorns, they'll be on the good end of that.
Yep, you said it. Texas trying to improve to 3-0 for the first time since 2012. That's one of those extremely painful stats that unfortunately we have to talk about with this football team. It's been a long time since the Longhorns have gone through the non-conference slate undefeated, and they've got a really, really good chance to get the job done tonight. Texas currently the 4th-ranked team. We've had some craziness around college football today. We'll talk about that when we get to some of our scoreboard updates. But yeah, Texas trying to do something that it hasn't done in a decade. The Longhorns 5-0 all-time against the Wyoming Cowboys, and we'll try to make it 6-0 tonight. The last matchup between these two teams was in 2012. Texas won 37-17 in Austin. So I think the biggest storyline, Buck, is how do the Longhorns look after what they accomplished last week? Because we all know it. Everybody has been praising this Longhorn team because of what they were able to accomplish in Tuscaloosa. Steve Sarkisian talked about it on Thursday. He said some of these guys might have broken backs from so many people patting them on the back. We know Texas is better than Wyoming, right? Like, this shouldn't be a close game. Vegas is telling you this should be at least a 4-touchdown victory for the Longhorns tonight. But you worry about the hangover effect. You worry about the trap game, whatever you want to call it. A weaker opponent in between Alabama and the start of conference play. What are your expectations from this Texas team? Do you think we'll see a little bit of a sluggish start from this bunch, or do you think they'll just carry over what they did last week against Alabama?
Well, so far, the first 2 games, they have not come out on fire. You know what I mean? They haven't just moved up and down the field at ease with either one of the games that they've won, either Rice or Alabama. They've struggled a little bit, but they haven't been sloppy. When I say struggle, I don't think they've run the ball the way they would really like to run the ball early in the first quarter. That's been a little bit of a problem, and hopefully they can rectify some of those things against Wyoming. But I don't expect to see a lot of penalties. I expect to see a team that's clean and ready to play football, ready with an opportunity in their last kind of preseason game before they get into conference play, come out, be fired up, but not be sloppy. I don't expect to see this team, with everybody patting them on the back, telling them how great they are. The girlfriends, the grandmas, the moms, the dads, the next door neighbor to tell them how great they are. I expect this to be a mature team that will come out and understand what's at stake. I mean, if you look around the landscape of college football, things are happening each and every Saturday. And, we're still got football to be played the rest of this day and into the evening. So a lot of things can happen. And a lot of things can happen good for the Texas Longhorns if they just take care of their business.
Yeah.
And I expect just that.
Yeah, you talked about sloppiness. The Longhorns haven't been sloppy at all through their first couple of games, right? No turnovers on the season. They've only had 9 total penalties through these first 2 games, and 3 of those 9 came in the fourth quarter against Rice when all of the backups were in, when Texas had that game in hand. So, yeah, to this point, Texas has not shot itself in the foot. And to me, that's the only way this game is close tonight, right? The only chance Wyoming has to make this interesting and obviously leave Austin with the upset victory is if Texas beats itself. This is a mature Texas team, and they haven't been making those same mental mistakes. They haven't had those self-inflicted wounds that have plagued a number of Longhorn teams in the past. You hope you see more of that because that's going to give you more confidence going into conference play. And this is a statement game, Buck. I've said it all week long on our show, on the show with Trey here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Like, obviously, the game in Tuscaloosa, that's a statement game. You win at Alabama, that's a big freaking deal, and you send a message to the rest of the world that, okay, this year might be a little bit different. But how do you play tonight? If this game's close, there's going to be a lot of people saying, oh, same old Texas. They play down to their competition. That's just what they do. They get up for big games, but they don't get up for these lesser opponents. If Texas takes care of business, I mean, if this is a 28-point game at halftime and it's obvious that the Longhorns are going to cruise to a victory, I think that sends another statement.
Sure.
Not as big as last week, but another statement that's like, no, this year is different than the Texas football program you've seen over the last 12 or 13 years.
Yeah, I think it tells the conference, for one thing, on its way out, it wants to make sure that they're in a conference championship. They're playing for a conference championship on the way out. I was a part of the first Big 12 conference championship, and for Texas to go out being in that game, and now I'm past all that, just playing in the game. I'm done now. I'm into winning that game, getting in the championship game and winning the Big 12 conference would be fantastic for this fan base. It would be great for Sark. It would be great for this team. And then you can look at this group and say as they enter the SEC, they're ready to play everybody that they come in contact with from that point on in the SEC, because as of now, the SEC is not lighting it up. They really are. They're having a really, really not down year, but they're having a slow start to most of the team's season right now in the SEC. So this is a Texas team that can come in to their conference and start to make waves early. Yeah. I was thinking that no matter what Texas did this year, they would get into a slow start once they got to the SEC. Take them a couple of years to build into it. The way they're playing right now, they're coming in smoking. They're ready to go.
Yeah.
But every week it's going to be: are you going to get better every week? Or are you going to get complacent and figure, like you said, are you going to play down to your competition, or are you going to play up to what your expectations are? Because the expectations right now are sky high. It's not just Big 12. It's playing in the national championship game and being in that Final Four. It just feels that way. You can feel it. But I think people are just kind of waiting to see, what are they going to be like after a big win?
Yep.
Is your team, are they mature enough to handle a big win on the road? When you come home, everybody thinks you're great, patting you on the back, over 100,000 in there tonight. It's going to be very interesting in how this football team handles that. And it looks like the quarterback's ready to put that on his shoulders. It looks like he's the guy right now who's a mature guy, calling meetings before they start, as they get ready for the week, not calling it because somebody did something, just making sure that they're all on the same page. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, let's get to that, Brock. We'll go with cut 7. I told you we were going to start with cut 1, but why would we do something that makes that much sense? Cut 7, Steve Sarkisian on Thursday was asked about which players stepped up this week, and he went into that story about how Quinn Ewers called for that players only meeting. Take a listen.
Yeah, what I thought was really cool this week, we did our traditional Monday morning meeting where we recap the game, and I show, about 18 or so plays to the entire team, coachable moments, teachable moments, or things that we did well. And then I turn the page in that meeting and I get into what I think it's going to take this week to play well. And interestingly enough, I got a text from Quinn later that day. Do you mind if we have a players only meeting Tuesday morning before we start? And so, of course, so the fact that, Quinn, that leadership committee wanted to have a players only meeting to make sure that they were reiterating the message about getting refocused on what we need to do this week, I thought was a great sign for us.
Yeah, that's interesting, Buck. A players only meeting after a win, right? Usually you only hear of players only meetings after not just one loss, but like 2, 3, 4 losses in a row. That's when somebody on the team is like, okay, we got to get together and figure something out. But after one of the biggest wins in program history in the regular season. You get your quarterback getting everybody together just to make sure the mindset is where it needs to be.
You know how many pats on the back that guy has had this week?
Deservedly so.
And deservedly so. And for a guy who's getting most of those pats on the back, he kind of understands that if you're a young guy and people are telling you this, and I mean, his stature is huge now at the University of Texas. If you're a sophomore or a freshman coming in that, and people are telling you how great you are and how great your teammates are, I mean, you can lose focus pretty quickly on that. You can say, okay, that was Alabama. We beat them there. Or we're playing Wyoming at home in front of 100,000. No problems. Maybe I won't practice quite as hard as I did the week before. You know, plus it's everybody's job. This isn't just Quinn Ewers' job or Xavier Worthy or whoever it is, you know, the linebackers, the defensive backs. It's the whole team. You know, the guys that have to give you a good look during the course of the week and let you understand you're playing you're playing a position and you're playing the opponent's position. You've got to give that offensive guy a good look. You got to give that defensive guy a good look. So this is everybody's. This is everybody's, whether you're the first string guy or the fifth string guy. What you do this week really, really matters to the entire team.
Yeah, don't get it twisted. Texas spent the entire offseason preparing for last Saturday. It's as simple as that. I know there were only 6 days in between the Rice game and the Alabama game, but no, they spent all of the offseason game planning for Alabama, trying to figure out how to win that game because of how big and important that game was. Well, now that game's over. That game's in the past, and then boom, a week later, you've got another game. You've got to make sure. I get it. You don't have to do exactly what you did against Alabama to beat Wyoming, right? You don't have to play that well to beat this Wyoming
team. Well, you want
to,
though.
But you would like to. Yeah, you obviously don't want anybody to be stressing tonight when you're going up against a team that you're favored by 30 points against. So it is important that, hey, yeah, I know this was a huge goal for us beating this Alabama team. And I know our other big goal is winning the Big 12 championship. And this is the game that's in between those two things. And not a lot of people are going to be talking about this one. And it's on LHN, not in prime time, you know, or not on a primetime network, whatever. It's important, that this team is doing the same things that it did leading up to the Alabama game, just to make sure, maybe not necessarily for tonight, but for the rest of the season, that there are no slip-ups, that there are no letdowns when Texas takes the field.
Well, it is a team that can beat you if you're not buttoned up. I mean, this is a physical team. It's an experienced team. They've got a really good coach. I like their quarterback an awful lot. I like the way they want to run the ball. I don't think they want to throw the ball all over the place. They would like to try to establish their run, which everybody wants to establish the run against Texas. But lately, people haven't been able to do that, which is a good thing. You know, they'll try whether it's trying to gut Texas with the run, seeing how physical they'll be on the defensive line, or trying to break perimeter. And last week, the Longhorns were fantastic. They didn't let anybody jump outside, with the exception of the quarterback that was, I mean, he didn't want to throw it. He just wanted to run the football. That's what he was like. So, but this is a group from Wyoming that's kind of a little bit of a roughneck. They play really tough, hard, physical football, and they don't mind mucking it up with you. They really don't.
No,
they want it to be that way. And as I said, if the conditions are just right for them, where it's a little bit slick and slippery and a little dirty out there, that's the way they like to have it. They don't want bombs going over the top of them.
No,
they want you to play in the trenches with them, because they think they can be a physical team and be physical with you.
Yeah, they're not coming in here thinking they're going to lose by 4 or 5 touchdowns.
No,
right?
No.
I mean, they're thinking that, hey, we just beat a Big 12 team 2 weeks ago.
That's right.
We've got a shot to beat another Big 12 team tonight. And they're thinking, oh, Texas Tech beat Texas last year.
That's right.
And we just beat Texas Tech. So, hey, maybe we actually have a shot to make something
And they understand
happen.
Everything was running through Lubbock anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Through your marquee. Well, let's
Yeah.
hear from Steve Sarkisian. We'll go to cut one now, Brock. This is Sark earlier this week talking about tonight's opponent, the Wyoming Cowboys.
We got a really tough opponent. You know, that challenge you a lot of ways. Coach Bowles, a tremendous coach. He's got a really veteran football team, a lot of 4th, 5th, and 6th-year seniors on their team. As you know, we've touched on, really well coached, hard-nosed team. They make things challenging on you because they execute really well on both sides of the ball as well as on special teams. So, great challenge, 2-0 team coming in here confidently. But for us, like we talked about to the team, that one game isn't going to define our season last week. What we do moving forward, I think championship teams continue to improve as the season goes on. And we've got goals and aspirations of being champions this year. We've got to continue to improve this week, and that was the starting point here this morning.
Yeah, and if you let them be the team that they want to be, they'll remind you an awful lot of playing against K-State. If you let Wyoming get to be, what they would like to do to you, they like to mix up the run and the pass a little bit. Their quarterback will run with the football.
Yeah.
He'll take off and go when things aren't right for him. They're not going to be able to just consistently run against Texas inside. Nobody has. It's almost like saying, as we saw Texas last week, only averaged 2 yards a clip against Alabama. Well, hell, nobody runs against Alabama. Maybe Georgia, maybe that'd be the only team, but they like to be able to run. They like to be able to rough it up with you. But they'll remind you of K-State a little bit, I believe. They'll play really good, solid special teams. I think the thing tonight for me with the Texas team is they've got to they can beat this team in every aspect. But I think one thing they really need to take advantage of is now it's time to get your special teams going. And I'm waiting for that block punt tonight or get after that punter.
Yeah.
Make some things happen with your special teams. Let some of your talented players on special teams, let them loose tonight at home after a nice victory. That'll keep you kind of even keel when you may have a 3 or out. You know what I'm saying? You punt the ball, you go 3, get them 3 and out, and then go after a punt.
Oh.
Make something happen on the special teams tonight.
Yeah, that'd be the perfect start to this game, right? Texas
absolutely
kicks off. They go on defense first. They force a 3 and out, and then boom, how about a blocked punt return?
That sets the
touchdown.
tone for your entire night.
Yeah. Get to see the light show at DKR for the first time as they unveil the LED lights for this night game tonight. Yeah, that'd be something. Get the special teams going. Get a splash play on special teams. Your kicker's been solid. I know Sideshow Bob missed one last week against Alabama, but for the most part, he's been good this year. The punter's been great. Not a lot of people talked about the punter. It was a nice get by this coaching staff to go in the transfer portal and get Ryan Sanborn from Stanford. Those guys have been solid, but you haven't had that explosive punt block or kick block or big-time punt return yet, right? We know Xavier Worthy's capable of something like that. He's capable of a house call every single time he touches the football. We see that on offense. Hopefully we get to see that on special teams. That'd be pretty cool if that third phase can become a difference maker for Texas tonight.
Well, what I do love about what I'm watching with this Texas Longhorn team is they're not shooting themselves in the foot. They don't have a bunch of silly penalties going on. The communication seems to be pretty good right now. It really does. We thought against Rice, why couldn't they run the ball early against that Rice defense? Well, that's over with. I think they found what they still continue to want to do. I think the communications on the offensive line has been good. Now, they haven't overpowered anybody, and nobody expected them to overpower Alabama. We did expect them to overpower Rice. It didn't happen. But they ran the ball when they needed to run the ball against Alabama last week in the fourth quarter when it really, really mattered. They ran the ball and they ran the ball really, really well. But this is a group it's going to be a hard night to run the ball. But it's a night that I would like to see them establish their run game and start getting after it early and still be able to get after it late too. But I'm not a pounder. I'm a win the game guy. So I like to win the game no matter what you have to do. If you had to throw 25 screens in the game, okay, you threw 25 screens, you won the football game, and you're effective at it. But I would think they would want to – I think Sark would like to get his run game going before he gets into conference play.
They have to. They have to. Like, I want to be confident in this run game going into conference play.
Sure.
This is – I mean, I get it. Last week might have been the toughest game that Texas had on its schedule all year long, although Alabama's not looking great right now against South Florida. But the other 2 games, Rice and Wyoming, those are the 2 easiest games Texas has this year. And if they can't establish the run against either of those teams, because they obviously didn't run it that effectively against Rice, if they can't run it against Rice or Wyoming, then it's not to say they're not going to be able to have an effective ground game at any point this season. But I will be a little bit skeptical about what this run game can be.
It's taking a long time. What's taking so long?
Exactly. So I'll be worried that that will be an issue for this Texas offense this season if I can't see something tonight. But you said it, Wyoming's rush defense, it's been pretty stout this year. I mean, they're giving up just 2.5 yards per carry. They've played 2 games. Neither team has gotten more than 100 rushing yards against them. Texas Tech, when they lost that game in Laramie a couple of weeks ago, 33 carries for 93 yards. Like they were kind of banging their head against the wall.
They were
over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And they didn't really get that different result. So not to sit here and say that it's going to be easy, but we're talking about Texas versus Wyoming.
Yeah. And when are you, if you're not doing it tonight,
right?
Who are you going to do it against? Well, you do have Baylor.
You do have
next
Baylor
week.
next week.
You do have Baylor next week. Yeah.
Baylor's given up 180 rushing yards a game
Yeah.
to this point this season, although that probably changed today with Long Island or whoever the hell they're going up against. They're playing an iced tea in Waco. That's how bad
But
they
you've
are.
got to I think you more so than anything early in the football season, the communications, the silliness, the silly penalties that you get, the false starts. Quinn Ewers has his team right where he really would like to have it too. Not only does Sark have it that way, but the quarterback looks like he's in control of what they're trying to do offensively. And that's a big plus for this team because they're so talented offensively. They've got talented players all over the place, offensive line, tight end, wide receiver. I think they have talented running backs. We've not yet seen a guy get out, an individual at the running back position really get loose. Nobody has 100 yards. There's no 120-yard rushers in the game. But for me, BK, there's things that you do in certain games. Last week, as a group, you probably wanted to rush. If you rush for 120 yards against Alabama total, that would have been okay. They didn't quite get to that. But against Wyoming tonight, I expect, I don't care who's running the ball, I expect total rushing to be somewhere in 160, 150, 160 against this Wyoming team. And I'm giving Wyoming a lot of credit. But at home, you have a couple big plays. You need to run the ball, in the third and fourth quarter. This group should rush for about 160 yards, if not more. But if they're held to 100 yards or less, but because that's what I expect Texas to hold Wyoming to,
right?
Less than 100 yards of rushing.
Oh, it'd be a disaster if they didn't.
Right.
Not a disaster. That's hyperbole, but they should be able to keep Wyoming in check on the ground game. And I do wonder where Wyoming's going to be able to score against this Texas defense that has looked really, really solid through.
That's why you can't give them the ball. That's why you can't have silly mistakes, silly penalties that put you down in distance against the chains. You have to be right on schedule, whatever you do. You can't make, this can't be the night that Quinn Ewers decides that, you know what, I think I can throw this one up for grabs. My guy's going to go get it. I think you have to do the same thing he's been doing and continue to get better every week. It's for him, it's every week. It's not, it's every practice. It's game to game. It's practice to practice with him.
So what do you expect to see from Quinn Ewers tonight? Let's not forget there were people who wanted that dude benched after the first half of football this season. Now, his last three halves have been really solid, right? Texas figured things out in the third quarter against Rice. 3 drives, 3 touchdowns. Quinn Ewers looked great coming out of the locker room in that one. Obviously played the game of his career in Tuscaloosa last week. But do we get a continuation of what we saw last week, or what's the conversation going to be?
I think he takes what they give him. But I think
he wasn't doing that against Rice.
Oh no.
He was doing that against Alabama, but against Rice, he was doing what you were talking about, just chunking it up down the field, hoping somebody was going to come down with it.
Well,
he wasn't
I think he's going to
take
his shots tonight when he has an opportunity. But I think the Texas wide receivers are going by these dudes. I think they are. They're outrunning him. He's going to take some of those shots.
Yeah.
They're either going to be overthrown, but they're not going to be thrown out of bounds. They're going to be where the guys can get them. He may be all excited about throwing the ball, but I don't think he's going to take shots where doesn't have his feet set. I think he's going to sit in the pocket. He's going to be protected. I don't think this pass rush is going to, be any problems to him. I think he'll have an opportunity to throw the ball down the field. I think he'll have a big game throwing the ball because I think he's going to get some of them bombs tonight.
Yeah, I hope you're right.
I really do.
I hope you're right. And you're right. This Wyoming secondary is not very good.
No.
Their run defense is solid. They do have 10 starters back from last year's defense, including the preseason Mountain West Player of the Year. But their secondary is vulnerable. Tyler Shuck, the Texas Tech quarterback, kind of got what he wanted in that game against Wyoming. Even though Texas Tech lost up there, they were able to have a lot of success through the air. And I think Quinn Ewers, if he looks like he looked last week, and these receivers look like they looked last week, and Sark's game plan looks like it looked like last week, then Texas is going to have no trouble moving the ball through the air and putting up a good number of points.
Yeah, I would also like to see this offense get on the perimeter a little bit, get wide, see if you can outflank this group with your speed. This is one of those nights that the jet sweep, can come into play. The reverse, some of those things that you've kind of held back on. There's nothing to hide any longer. You've beat Alabama. You've played Rice. Now you've got one more of these preseason games, BK, where there's nothing like throwing in a reverse here or there. You can throw a trick play in. Yeah, you really want to get off to a good start. As I said, if you want to get your crowd going, you block a punt. As you said, 3 and out, go get that punt blocking, and then just change the whole mindset of your football team, their football team, the crowd.
Yep.
So there's nothing like throwing some of your trick plays in here tonight. Why not?
Fine with it. I am fine with it. I just tweeted this out. We're going to be giving away 2 Hat Creek Burger Company gift cards
Nice.
during our pregame show. So make sure you are locked in for your chance to win. All you have to do, be subscribed to our channel on YouTube, like the video, and leave a comment. It could be any comment. You could comment talking trash to Bucky for losing you 5,000 units today. What happened there, Buck?
Long field goal, ridiculous field goal. Come on, K-State.
61-yarder for Mizzou to beat K-State outright. Bucky's 5,000 unit gold star lock of the week was unlocked.
It was unlocked. Should have taken my Boston College Eagles.
Yeah, I almost knocked off
Florida State.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, so tough one for K-State today. Tough one for those of you who tailed the Buck and his 5,000.
You told the people to fade me too. You said that on Friday. Don't go with this guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
No.
He only knows about rain. He's only knowing about how to make rain.
Is it going to rain tonight, or are we done with the rain?
I think we're done. We're done with the rain.
We got a lot earlier today.
We certainly did.
You did talk about wet balls being a factor.
Wet balls will be a factor. I mean, just think about it. Kids haven't had those. They haven't been juggling those babies around lately. It's been dry. It's been hot. And ball security will be very, very important. And we'll see who gets the chance to start tonight. Will CJ Baxter start tonight? I mean, he started in the last 2 games, and it's been, he's banged up again. It's 2 games. He's been banged up twice in 2 football games, and the hitting's a little bit different than it was in high school.
Yeah.
It just is.
Well, I got to cut in right here because I just saw it on my Twitter timeline. CJ Baxter will not play tonight versus Wyoming. So on Thursday, Sark said he was going to be a game time decision. Trey and I were talking about it yesterday. It's like, it's Wyoming. You shouldn't need this guy to beat him. So if he's not 100%,
why play him?
Give him the week off. Let him get right for conference play. And it seems like that is the move. So Jonathan Brooks, you assume, will be the starter tonight.
I do.
Get to see a little bit more Jaden Blue, who looked pretty good against Rice, and the action that he got in week 1. We didn't see much Jaden Blue last week against Bama, but I think we'll see a decent dose of him tonight. And then maybe Savion Red a little bit too. Keelan Robinson, obviously, in that running back room. So
let's get them outside and let them run. Let your athletes go tonight.
Yeah, I agree. Let's hear from Steve Sarkisian real quick before we get to our first scoreboard update of the night. We'll go with cut 6 since we've been talking about the run game a little bit. Sark on Thursday was asked what he wants to see from this Texas running game. Here's Coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, for us, from a run game standpoint, I want to see consistency. And with consistency comes a level of physicality. We have to move people off the line of scrimmage. And, I just don't think that we've been quite consistent enough in that aspect of our game. Again, I love the fact that we were able to run the ball the way that we did with 7 minutes to go and run it when Alabama knew we were going to run the ball. But I sure would like to have that mentality in the first quarter of a game and to go out and run the football the way that I think we're capable of. So when you talk about making improvements, that's definitely one of them for us where I think we can improve as a football team. But that goes hand in hand with our ability to pass the football as well, that we need to find that balance on our offense because that's when we're at our best.
Yeah, BK, I think he's really, I think Sark is surprised that the physicality of his offensive line in the first 2 games hasn't been there or not what he's expecting.
Mm-hmm.
When he sees those bodies, when he sees those big bodies, where he thought that he was going to see a very physical offensive line when it came to the run game. Now they've got great feet in the pass protection. They're moving their feet. The communications has been pretty good. We thought communications would be off a little bit in Tuscaloosa. It was not. Guys are on bodies. They stayed on guys. But I think he's really surprised about the physicality of the way they've run blocked so far.
Yeah.
In this early part of the season. I think he'd like to get out of that. He'd like to run the ball early, and he'd like to run the ball well early.
Yeah.
In this football game.
Yeah, obviously, we know they're capable of it with what they did in that last possession against Alabama. But as Sark just mentioned, you don't want to have to wait till the last possession of the game.
You want to be able to dictate when you want to run the ball, and you want to run it right off the bat.
Absolutely. And it's weird because, like, the O-line was awesome against Alabama from a pass blocking perspective last week, right? I mean, Quinn Ewers barely got pressured at all. He didn't get sacked once in that win last week. But obviously the run blocking wasn't where Sark or any of us wanted it to be. It is Bama. Tough to run against them.
Not many people do.
But that is 2 weeks in a row where Texas hasn't quite had the effective ground game that we saw last year. Of course, no Bijan, no Rojo. I thought this Texas running game was going to take a little bit of a step back. I did think it would look better than this, though. I didn't
did
think it'd
too.
be as big of a step back. It's 2 games, plenty of season left, but it's been a pretty big-time drop-off from what we saw in 2022.
Yeah, I thought that, when people said, "Oh, no, these guys are really capable," I said, "You don't understand the 2 guys that you had that are playing in the NFL right now." I mean, that was both of those guys, not just the one guy. They were both a cut above. And when you watch them run, if there was nothing there, if there was a guy in the hole, they were able to, take those guys and roll those guys themselves for 3 yards when they made contact, take them for a ride. This group's a little bit different. This group of running backs is different. I don't expect Jonathan Brooks. I expect Jonathan Brooks to have really nice body lean and get you that hard one. But I don't expect Jonathan Brooks to get you that hard 3. By the way, he did that last week on contact. He got 2 or 3 extra yards just on after contact. He surprised me last week with his physicality against Alabama when things weren't cleanly blocked. He hasn't had a massive hole so far this season where you look at him and he's a one-on-one with a linebacker 5 yards away.
Mm-hmm.
He's had contact with him, just at the line of scrimmage or just past the line of scrimmage. So maybe this is tonight to really get him going. I would like for him to get the majority of the snaps tonight at running back.
Yeah.
Get the ball, 20 sometimes tonight and establish himself with a 100-yard game. I mean, a 100-yard game for him would be really, really nice tonight.
I'd like
because
to see
that
it.
establishes everybody around you. And for Blue and some of these other guys, let them get to the outside. Let them be the outside guys. But they need to start opening up some holes inside.
For sure.
And I think the head coach is a little surprised.
Yep, I'm with you on that. The text line, 512-222-9328. That's right. We do have a text line now on Texas Sports Unfiltered. You can obviously hit us up in the Clean Cause YouTube comment line, but make sure you hit us up on our text line as well if you're listening on the app, 512-222-9328. All right, Buck. Let's get to a scoreboard update, shall we? The first of 3 as our pregame show continues here live on Texas Sports Unfiltered. The number 1 team in the land in a little bit of trouble. The Georgia Bulldogs were down 14-3 at halftime at home to South Carolina. Georgia did outscore the fake USC 14-0 in the 3rd quarter. So early in the 4th quarter, Georgia leads South Carolina 17-14. Georgia just missed a field goal, though. So South Carolina has the ball with a chance to tie with the field goal or take the lead. Once again, early 4th quarter action, but the number 1 team in the country, they were a near 4-touchdown favorite against the Cox at home. They are struggling with South Carolina. Alabama. This sucks. I was hoping they would beat South Florida like 100-0. Because there are a lot of people after Texas's win like, this is a bad Alabama team. It's a down year for them. The Longhorns win in Tuscaloosa wasn't that impressive. Well, Alabama is struggling today in Tampa, 3-3 with 33 seconds left in the first half. Alabama, a 33-point favorite. Threes are wild in that one. 3-3 your score once again right before the end of the first half. Bama made the change at quarterback to Tyler Buckner. He has been terrible. The Alabama offense hasn't been able to get anything going in that one. So, yeah, not exactly what we were hoping for here in Austin, Texas, USA, America. Number 19, Oklahoma, all over Tulsa, 45-17. Nice non-conference schedule this year, Sooners. Way to put some tough teams on the schedule there. Earlier today, Bucky's 5,000 unit play lost because Kansas State lost to Missouri. 30-27, the final score there in Columbia. How about the Missouri kicker, Harrison Mevis, a 61-yard field goal as time expired to give Mizzou the win. Number 14, LSU 41, Mississippi State 14. And then number 3, Florida State survives against your Boston College Eagles, Buck.
Eagles had a chance.
They did. 31-29, the final score. BC had 18 penalties. What, were you coaching in that game? What happened?
What was this, the Alabama game from last year when Alabama had like 18 penalties? That's crazy.
Yeah, 18 penalties, and they still almost beat the 3rd-ranked team in the country. So, look, if Texas takes care of business tonight, there's a chance the Longhorns move up into the top 3 because of what Florida State did. I know Florida State won, but they didn't look good. They were huge favorites. They're probably moving down in the polls a little bit. So if the Longhorns don't do what Florida State did and actually make things look pretty good tonight, then Texas might be a top 3 team in college football next week.
It's out there for the taking this year, BK. I mean, it really, really is in college football. There's not a dominant team. We're seeing that. No, we have a two-time defending champ that's even struggling themselves right now, trying to find out what they're going to be all about. But then again, don't expect them to start getting worse as the season goes on. The Bulldogs, they'll get better.
Yeah, they usually do. Let's give a shout out to our scoreboard update sponsor. How about Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill? Love these folks. Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill is a place that takes you back to a simpler time.
No doubt about it.
And familiar, relaxed and easygoing. Moonshine greets guests like family, serving up great cooking with an innovative take on classic American comfort food. Moonshine's menu satisfies even the big city taste. They are celebrating 20 years, Buck, in the Austin area, and they want to thank all of you for your support over the past 2 decades. Go see them for a fantastic dinner or check out their great weekend brunch. 2 locations, one downtown, the other in Avery Ranch. Check them out online at moonshinegrill.com for more information.
A great place to go for brunch after a big win tonight.
Come on now.
That's where you want to take mom and dad. Head on over to Moonshine for sure. Say hello to Chuck and Larry. They would appreciate your business. And guess what? You're not paying for it anyway. Your mom and dad are going to pay for it anyhow.
Yeah.
We know how that works out. Hey, mom and dad, can I take you to a really nice place? Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, you're paying though.
Of course.
Of course.
Come on. They're not paying enough for tuition, so they got to pay for the meal on top of that.
That's right.
That's
of
how
course.
it works.
Love the Moonshine.
Great people, great folks, great dining experience every single time you go in there. All right, let's since we've been talking about the offense, let's keep the offense conversation going with our offensive player of the game, brought to you by Verde's Mexican Parrilla. Buck, I will give you the floor. Who is your pick for Texas's offensive player of the game tonight?
Now, I've been off with my prediction of my 5,000 unit prediction. This one is a sentimental. It's got to be sentimental today. Why not Mr. Nayor? Why not him? Why not?
Why not him? Because he barely plays.
Oh, no. Why not? I mean, the coaches have got to see this guy's playing against his old team.
Yeah.
He's worked hard. Had that bum knee last year. He's ready to go. Why not make him the focal point tonight? Why not, Quinn Ewers, look at this guy sometime? Throw him the ball. How about 2 touchdowns for this guy being the offensive player of the game?
2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns, yes.
Do you know how many catches Isaiah Nayor has this season?
2?
Not even.
Not even 2.
He's got 1 catch.
Okay, what a big night.
Yards.
What a big night he's going to have tonight, folks.
It'd be a great story.
It would be a great story.
Right? The Wyoming transfer going up against his old team and putting on a show. It'd be fun.
And I know the quarterbacks think of that too. When he comes in the game, the quarterback's mind, Quinn last year, I think Xavier Worthy was his roommate. He sure made sure he threw it to him a lot, even with a broken hand.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have as deep of a wide receiver room last year as they do this year with the addition of Nayor, but mainly the addition of Adonai Mitchell, who has been awesome. By the way, he got a shout out from my rabbi today at Rosh Hashanah services.
Did he?
Yep.
Very nice.
I'm very intrigued by this wide receiver that Texas has, number 5, Adonai Mitchell.
Very nice.
They call him Hashem.
There you go.
A little Jewish joke right there. By the way, Shana Tova to all of the members of the tribe out there.
And happy Rosh Hashanah to you, my friend.
Absolutely. Happy New Year to all of the Jews out there. 5784, Buck. That's what year we're on. You people are stuck in 2023.
Wow.
We're on 5784 now. We're not messing around here. We've been around a time or two.
Man, oh, man.
Yeah.
And you spent a long time there today, too.
A lot of time in Temple today.
There you go.
Yep. All right. Isaiah Nayor, look, it's a bold pick. It would be a great story if he can go out there and have a good game. It'd be cool if Sark put him into the starting lineup tonight, just as like, here you go. You're going up against your old
team. You're going to get the first
team.
ball. You're going to get the first ball of the game.
Yeah, something like that. Like I'm in favor of that.
See, now you're getting it. You're feeling that sentimental. It's starting to come through for you.
Yeah.
Don't throw a pick trying to force one into this dude, though, please.
Yeah, that'd be a disaster.
It would be a disaster, yes. But I'm looking at him to be the MVP, the offensive player of the game.
Okay, I'm going to go with Jonathan Brooks.
Okay.
We know he's going to start. We just found out within the last 20 minutes or so that C.J. Baxter will not be available for the Longhorns tonight. So Jonathan Brooks is the unquestioned number 1 tailback for this Texas team tonight. And I think Texas does establish its ground game. I know what Wyoming's run defense has done over the first couple of weeks. They've been impressive, but I think the Texas O-line is able to impose its will early on and often throughout this game tonight. And I think Jonathan Brooks does eclipse 100 yards. I think he has a couple of touchdowns. I won't go with 2 touchdowns for Isaiah Nayor, the 5th-string receiver. That's a bold pick. I'll take the 1st-string running back having a couple of touchdowns and 100-plus yards. So give me Jonathan Brooks as my offensive player of the game.
This will be his first start, though. Correct? Over the
Mhm.
last 2 games, he's been the backup
Yep.
to CJ Baxter.
Yeah.
Which is still interesting to me, but I think he's played. I think he's been one of the offensive stars so far in the first 2 games. I mean, he has really made his carries count. And if he can just catch those little swing screens that he gets, that's going to be important because to me, once again, that's a run. I know it's a forward pass, but those are just toss sweeps. That's all they are.
I feel better about Isaiah Nayor having 2 touchdowns than I do Jonathan Brooks having 0 drops.
Oh, that hurts.
That's where I'm at with Jonathan Brooks catching the
2
football.
games, 2 drops.
I know. Can we not have a drop tonight, Brooks? Yeah, maybe 100 rushing yards and then a couple of catches as well out of the backfield. Clearly, Texas thinks he can catch. They wouldn't keep calling pass plays to him.
That's true.
If he couldn't catch in practice, but obviously that hasn't translated to Saturdays just yet. Our offensive player of the game prediction is brought to you by our friends at Verde's Mexican Parrilla. They came by yesterday out here to Covert BK.
Yes, they did.
Brought by some tacos. They've got great chips and queso. They've got just a ton of great items right there at Verde's. It's located on Hamilton Pool Road off of 71, an extensive menu of all of your traditional Mexican and Tex-Mex favorites. They've got a beautiful indoor dining area that makes for a great date night. And then outside, a covered patio with a ton of space for the whole family. They've got a huge grass area, footballs, frisbees, games for everybody to enjoy. They've got a bunch of TVs as well. They can host your party. They can cater your next event. The food is spectacular. Oh, my God.
Love the chicken breast, zucchini stuffed with, how about this, mushrooms and cheese.
How about
And
that?
I hate zucchini, but not when I'm at Verde's.
So it's stuffed chicken
Breast.
and then there's zucchini in there.
Inside of there with cheese and mushrooms.
Oh.
It's delicious.
Yeah, I had
It
the
is delicious.
poblano chicken enchiladas the last time
There you
I
go.
went there. Freaking spectacular. They got something special at Verde's. Once again, located on Hamilton Pool Road off of 71, pretty close to where we're at right now.
Absolutely.
They sponsor our offensive player of the game, and we appreciate them for that. All right, let's switch sides now. Before we give our defensive player of the game, let's just talk about this Texas defense a little bit, Buck. What they did last week, very impressive against Alabama. They followed the game plan and they executed it to a T. And they wanted to turn Jalen Milroe into a pocket passer, and they were able to do that, right? He obviously had a couple of decent-sized runs, and Texas did give up a couple of big plays through the air, and Sark talked about cleaning those things up this week. But for the most part, I mean, to hold Alabama to just 24 points, to turn Jalen Milroe into a pocket passer, they got a ton of pressure on him all day long. Alabama didn't have that back-breaking run. Remember, they had that one with Jace McClellan here in Austin last year, that super long, I think, 75-yard touchdown run. Texas didn't give up that big running play. It was a really solid defensive performance, and obviously it's been 2 really solid defensive performances for this Texas group. Do you think they make it 3 tonight?
I do. I think they kind of understand the communications on this defense has been fantastic. It was that way at the end of the football season last year. It's beginning again the same way. The fits are really, really nice between the linebackers, and the defensive linemen. I mean, if there's numerous guys at the point of attack now. There's not one guy having to make solo tackles. If one guy misses, there's another guy right there immediately. And that's what you call fitting perfectly, BK. And they're doing a great job of that. I love the linebacker play right now. I think guys are starting to find their little niche in this defense. And the big guy, Sweat, is awful hard to handle right now.
Yes, he is.
He's taking up a lot of bodies. I mean, he's got a lot of body himself, but he's taken up more than one body on the offensive line. I mean, he hadn't been solo blocked yet, and he's been in the backfield, whether it's passing or in the run game. He's making a real difference. He's getting himself, looked at pretty well by the NFL. NFL loves those big pluggers. But this guy's not just a plugger. I mean, he can run, he can go side to side. He goes boundary to boundary pretty well.
He can get after the quarterback, too.
Yes, he does. He gets after the quarterback. He's a guy that's not only going to pressure, but he's going to get sacks. He's a good athlete. You can see he's a big dude and a good big athlete too. I mean, I like the way they're playing defense. Not much to be said about the secondary. I still believe this is going to be, before it's all said and done, because of this defensive line, this is going to be one of the best secondaries in the country. They gave up a little bit last week. Some big plays to a quarterback that truly wanted to run. I mean, we all knew what he was capable of doing when he took off with the ball. And he escaped a couple times and got down the field and threw one nice long pass and got away with it. But and all in all, for the first 2 games, I like what I see from both the defensive line and the secondary right now.
Devondre Sweat, I'm going to start calling him Otis Redding because he's hard to handle. He really is.
He really is.
And he's a problem. And you're right. I mean, you have to double team that guy to keep him out of your backfield.
Yes, you
but
do.
If you do that, you're going to open things up for the rest of the Texas defensive front, which obviously stepped up in a big way. You know, if they sold numbered and lettered jerseys at DKR, I think we'd see a lot of Anthony Hill jerseys on campus over the next few years.
Well, people want him to play every down, every snap.
Yep.
Whether it's special teams, they want him in the football game because they know his athleticism for a big guy and the way he moves. Now, they lined him up out there as an outside rusher, and he was fantastic last week. He really was. But, you know, they're gonna move him in all different ways. They're gonna put him inside. They'll put him outside. I just never thought he was. You know, I watched film of him in high school, and he dominated outside. But I never thought he was big enough to be that guy. I thought at this level, college tackles would grab a hold of him and take him down. He's got great upper body strength. He surprised me with his upper body strength. And we knew he was going to be able to get off. I mean, just fly, get to the ball.
Yeah.
But I never thought he would be physically capable of doing the things I've seen him do in the last 2 weeks from the outside.
Yeah, I think Anthony Hill only played 19 snaps against Alabama, but he made such an impact. It felt like he played 49 snaps.
He was everywhere.
He was everywhere, and he had a tough job. He wasn't the only guy spying Jalen Milroe in that game, but a lot of his job was to spy Jalen Milroe, and he did a phenomenal job of doing just that. Obviously had a couple of sacks as well. He's a special talent, and I hope we see more than 19 snaps a game for Anthony Hill moving forward because he's a Sunday player, man. There's some guys you could tell, even when it's their freshman year, even when they're just out of high school, you could tell that these guys are built for the NFL. Anthony Hill Jr., I think, in a few years will be playing on Sundays. I'm glad we have him for 3 years.
His body type, talking about changing
and
getting stronger. And I don't know if he's going to all of a sudden grow another 3 inches, but he gets great leverage under the tackles. And boy, that when he starts to run that swim move and get inside on you, I mean, the velocity he's going at is a little bit different for some of the other guys out there. And I'll say this: Sorrells and the rest of those guys in this defense, they have kept the perimeter. They've not given up a bunch of run plays. They gave up one last week where the quarterback bounced outside. That quarterback has the ability to get outside 5 or 6 times during a game. He really only truly got outside one time for a big play.
Yeah, and I think it's important to talk about Alabama when talking about this game tonight because, look, Jalen Milroe is a better talent than Andrew Peasley, who's Wyoming's quarterback, but Andrew Peasley likes to take off and run too.
Yeah, he would. There are times when he would rather run. He would rather, if he sees where he can pick up 6 or 7 yards and to throw it into a tight window, he'll run the ball. We saw that with Milroe last week.
Yeah,
his ability to run, not even taking a chance to throw in the ball, he was going to go. But he only got loose for one really, really big run. But this guy right here, if he sees it, he's going.
Yeah, they're
take
similar.
His 5 or 6 yards.
Yeah,
yes.
like Milroe is like, if his first read isn't there, he was going to take off and run. Peasley's got a little bit of that to him as well. Now, Peasley, much more experienced. This is his 6th year
and a better thrower
of college football and a little bit better of a thrower. I mean, he completed 54% of his passes last year. I think he's at 58% this year. So he's not a great thrower of the football, but he does like to take off and run not only when the play breaks down, but also sometimes that's one of his early reads is to just, if he sees a lane, he's going to take it right there. 15 carries, 68 yards against Texas Tech. And he made a couple of huge runs in that fourth quarter and in both overtimes in that upset over Texas Tech. So
and he will take a hit. I mean, he's looking to be a running back when he gets the ball too. Last week, Milroe was a big dude. I mean, the more I looked at him last week, I'm like, man, is this a tight end playing quarterback with speed? I mean, he was a big guy. And thank God that the Longhorns didn't have to tackle him a lot where he wasn't escaping inside and your secondary, your safeties had to come up and make hits with that guy. Yeah. That would have been a long night. And that's because Texas defensive line, they weren't giving up anything. There were no gaps to run through in the middle. Yeah. He broke down the perimeter one time, and I still worry about that. I'm not worried about the perimeter with this quarterback, with Peasley. I'm not worried so much about that. Because if he breaks outside, safeties are coming. He may get a 3 or 4 yard gain, but he's not breaking it down the field for 30 or 40 yards.
Now, I do wonder what the Texas game plan will be, though. I do wonder if it will be pretty similar to what they did against Alabama, where they have a spy more often than not against Andrew Peasley, just to say, like, you're not running, dude. Like
Well,
you're not running. That is not part of your game.
We're
plan
not letting your
tonight.
run game be you running for 6 and 7 yards.
Like
and
beat
eating
us through
up.
the air. We'll sacrifice a secondary guy. We'll sacrifice somebody on the back end because we trust our corners and safeties and
Against your
one-on-ones
receivers, yes.
against your receivers.
Absolutely.
And we're going to put somebody in spy. So you're just not going to do what you did against Texas Tech.
I would agree.
And pick up those 4, 5, 6 yard gains on the ground.
The ones that really hurt you, yes.
Yeah. So I think we'll see some of that for Texas. I mean, Andrew Peasley, 29 of 50 through the air this season, only 350 passing yards in 2 games. Like Quinn Ewers had that last week alone. That's Peasley through 2 games, and one of those games was against an FCS team.
Yeah.
So not a great thrower of the football, but that also goes to show you, Buck, like you're talking about, they want to run the football, not just with their quarterback. It's usually the game plan for most Davids going up against Goliath.
Sure.
That's kind of what this is tonight. But Wyoming, they prefer to run. They've ran it like 25 more times than they've thrown it through a couple of games. That's what they want to do.
Well, it was very similar to what Rice was trying to do, but they couldn't succeed at running the ball and running clock and shortening up the game. Wyoming feels like they physically can do that probably against Texas. Let's make this a short game. Let's muck it up a little bit. There are going to be some seconds and sevens. We're running. We're not dumping the ball off. We'll run the ball, take our chances. The clock will run. Put ourselves in 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4s. That's how they want to play the game. They're not interested in throwing balls down the field 30, 40 yards. They're not going to be interested in doing that because better athletes are in that secondary than they have at wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the quarterback figures, if I can get 5, if there's a gap that you've given me a gap and nobody's protecting the gap and you guys have given up the integrity of your gap control, I'll run for 6 yards.
Yeah.
I'll put our team in a situation where we've got, 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 3s. We feel pretty good about that. They want the clock to run. They, as I said, that's why I believe Texas special teams wise has to make something happen tonight.
Yep.
Really get the crowd going, really make this team understand they're in a football game that you're not going to be able to run the clock out on us. You're going to have to come from behind. And this group won't be able to come from behind.
No. If Texas gets out to an early lead,
yes,
then they're going to put this one away relatively easily, I would think. Keep the comments coming. By the way, if you're just tuning in and you want to win one of the 2 Hat Creek gift cards we're going to be giving away, all you have to do, 3 things. Subscribe to our channel, like this video, and leave a comment. You can be commenting about whatever you want. Just do those 3 things, and you will be entered for a chance to win a $25 Hat Creek gift card. All right, let's hear more from Steve Sarkisian here. So this is a big thing. I like this question. I can't remember who asked it on Thursday, but about the mentality. We'll go cut 3 here, Brock. Texas was obviously the hunter last week against Alabama. Well, this week and probably in every game the rest of the season, they're going to be the hunted, right? We expect Texas to be favored in every single game they play throughout the regular season. And if they make it to the conference championship game, they'll probably be favored in that one as well. So Sark was asked about just keeping that same mindset that you had going into that Alabama game last week. And Sark said that was really important.
Well, I think that's exactly why we want to have that mentality. I think naturally, we're the University of Texas, which I've talked at length about, and we naturally have a target on our back week in and week out. We know we're going to get everybody's best shot. Now add that with you end up in a top 5. Now there's just more added incentive to attack us. I think that the key to the drill is we have to make sure that our opponents feel like they're being attacked by us. And I love that our players have adopted that and have bought into that mentality. Because that's the mindset that you have to have. We have to ensure that our opponents get our best shot. And if that's good enough, great. If it's not, then back to the drawing board. But as long as we work with that mentality and then go play that way, I feel very comfortable and confident in our ability to go into a game and play at a high level.
I like that from Sark. I like the way he phrases that, because there have been times when teams have beat the University of Texas over the last couple of years, and that wasn't even their best shot. That wasn't even the teams that played against them's best shot, and they found ways to beat Texas. So, I mean, the TCUs of the world, they find ways, Texas Tech was finding ways not even at their best to beat Texas. Now it's one of those, if you bring your best game to us, it won't be enough for you to win.
Mm-hmm.
Your best game is not enough to beat Texas anymore.
No.
We're the hunters now. We'll continue to hunt. We want to continue to try to score. I like that thought, because I believe that Sark now wants to score touchdowns and he truly means we don't want to just exchange field position. We're looking to score touchdowns. We're not, although they're getting a lot of field goals, I feel like he wants to score touchdowns every time he gets the ball, and he truly means that. And I think his team feels the fact that they want to be scoring in the 40s. Like you said, BK, they haven't quite got there yet, but this is a group that can average in the 40s against anybody that they play from this point on. They should be in the 40s.
Yeah, they should be able to get there tonight.
Yes.
And my goal for this Texas offense is to average 40 points per game this season.
Yep.
And like you said, they haven't gotten there in either of their first two games. Now, 37 against Rice, more than enough. 34 against Alabama, more than enough. The most important stat is that they are 2-0.
That's right
now. But yeah, I feel like this offense has the potential with all of the talent that this group has, especially with the pass catchers. They should be able to eclipse that 40 point per game mark, and they should be able to get to that number tonight. So,
and I think you'll see, you know, we got to the point last week that Sark drew up some plays where guys were wide open. I mean, just wide open.
Yep.
I mean, that's the kind of coaching that I was expecting to see. You know, Sark, as I said, this guy needs to win. This coach needs to win 2 games. Last week was his game. You can turn around and you're as talented as Alabama was. You're as physical as they were. But that was the coach's game. He found ways to have to call plays and draw plays that had guys wide open when they needed it. And so tonight, this should be a game where you should have a number of those type of plays from Coach Sarkisian. I think you'll see him draw up a play that, you know, 2 or 3 guys are just wide open during the course of this game that people will look around and go, where's the defender?
Right.
Well, we moved the defender this way, so my guy could be wide
Defender's
open.
looking over here.
Yeah.
He's covering the wrong guy.
Absolutely.
There's A.D. Mitchell wide open in the corner
I
over there.
expect to start seeing a lot of that, you know, and we're going to be playing teams now that know this head coach, that know how he calls plays. But as of tonight, we should see a couple of those guys wide open tonight.
I agree. I mean, look, this pass catching room isn't as talented as what Alabama had in 2020 with Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle and John Mechie. It's not that good.
No.
But this is the best group of pass catchers that Sark has had to work with at Texas.
Sure.
And having that talent, like, I don't think Sark was like, oh, he forgot how to offensive coordinate over the last couple of years. He just didn't have the talent that allowed his offense to do everything he wanted it to do. I think now he finally has that. And yeah, with his scheming and with the talent that Texas has in that wide receiver room, plus Jatavion Sanders, you should see that every single week where guys are just streaking open down the field.
Well, I you know, as much as I'd like for Nayor to have that game, really, you know, playing his old teammates and playing his former university, Jordan Whittington is a guy that in a game like this that you find beating, you know, that they'll end up putting their second or third best defender on him. He could have a field day. I've got to believe in a game like this. This should be a Jay Witt type of game where he gets a bunch of catches, you know, 8, 9 catches. Who knows what the yardage will be, but he'll catch about 8 or 9 footballs tonight. He'll find himself open an awful lot. And Quinn Ewers will find him too.
That's the cool part about this offense. And if fantasy college football was something that a lot of people played, it'd probably be frustrating if you had a Texas receiver. Oh, yeah. Because it just feels like on any given night, they've got enough talent to where somebody else can step up and be that dude. I mean, I know Xavier Worthy is Quinn Ewers' go-to target, but you compare his numbers to some of the other guys, it's not like his numbers are ridiculously better than anybody else's right now. What if I told you that Jordan Whittington had more catches than A.D. Mitchell right now? Like that's the case this season. So Ewers has done a really good job of spreading the football around. And yeah, it's like on any given night, it could be Jay Witt tonight. Right. It could be A.D. It could be Worthy. Hell, hopefully it's a couple of those guys who step up and put together big time stat lines for Texas tonight. But they just have so many different ways to beat you on offense, which is why 40 points per game doesn't feel too out of the equation.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I think this will be one of those games where everybody gets to feast a little bit, you know, for the new year.
Yeah.
Oh,
how about a little apples and honey on
the
sideline? You know, that's our bit. That's what we do for Rosh Hashanah.
Very nice.
I think sweetness of the new year with the apples and honey.
I think they should be able to feast tonight, and I think everybody gets to partake. A lot of guys get to partake in the meal tonight. That's how I'm feeling. And the guys on defense aren't giving up no sandwiches. Nothing for you.
I'm just glad it's a night game so Adonai Mitchell can play because I know he was at Temple this morning celebrating God.
He's probably
for the Jewish
right
New
now
Year.
too.
Yeah, so he's. I'm glad it's a night game for so many different reasons. It is on LHN tonight. Do you have LHN at home, Buck?
No.
Where are you going to watch this thing?
I'm going over to my buddy Doug Boatpaul, and we're going to watch the game over where we play poker on Monday nights.
Oh,
yes.
You're going to play some poker while you're watching?
Oh, no. I'm watching the game.
Okay.
I've got to pay attention to this one. I'm looking, as I said, I'm excited about this team being 2-0, but I'm excited about this team being 2-0 coming back here when it's not a 1,000 degrees. I think this crowd will be just so excited tonight if it doesn't rain at all. But, the temperatures will probably be in the, high 70s, mid 80s.
Oh, my God. It's 80 degrees right now.
Yeah.
And at kickoff, it's supposed to be 78.
That's what I'm saying.
I haven't seen that on my phone screen in a long time. It's glorious.
The fans are waiting for this kind of excitement. And the fans don't want to be let down. I know there'll be numerous people sitting in their seats wondering, oh boy, what kind of team are we going to get tonight? What's Texas going to be like after a big win? All the patting on the back, all the telling them, every news outlet, every sports outlet in America talking about, and everybody, this is a good team. They understand it's a good team. But the fans are waiting for that. Oh, you know what? Here we go again.
Don't want that.
I don't want that tonight. I want to see this team just continue to get better week in, week out, because even if you win this game, you're just starting into your conference play. You got a great opportunity here. You got super players. You got a quarterback that's, showing his leadership ability. You've actually got some talented guys you really haven't used yet. And this would be a great time to do it tonight.
Yep.
Coming back after that kind of victory.
Absolutely. I want it to be a continuation of the party that started last weekend in Tuscaloosa, right? No stressful moments, just a fun, enjoyable game for everybody in attendance.
Can you believe there was not much stress last week? That was incredible.
I was stressing the whole time.
Still to the bitter end?
Until the very end, dude.
So they ran the ball down their throats and ran out the clock?
I was nervous until that Alabama player jumped off sides.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the freebie, yes.
And then once I saw Texas go in victory formation, I'm like, oh, my God, they really did this.
Yes.
They really did this. But no, I'm always stressing. I am always stressing. But hopefully tonight, that's something we won't have to deal with. By the way, hit us up in the Clean Cause YouTube comment line, Buck. I'll let you read a couple of things about your friends at Clean Cause. But if y'all have any questions, any thoughts, any predictions, we want to hear from you guys, both on the text line, 512-222-9328, and on the Clean Cause YouTube comment line, brought to you by our friends at Clean Cause.
Love the folks there. Their brand gives 50% of profits to support individuals in recovery from drug and alcohol addiction. Half of their profits do that. They do great things in the Austin area and around this country. Clean Cause, organic sparkling yerba mate flavors like cherry lime and, of course, orange ginger that will get your day going with 160 milligrams of better caffeine that won't cause crashes or jitters. You won't crash and you won't be jittery during the course of the day for sure. But what they do is they support folks that are trying to get back on their feet. They support folks that have all kinds of addictions, whether it's alcohol, drug addictions. 50% of their profits, they can put that in their pocket and move on and continue to get better at what they do. They want you to get better at what you need to do, and that's stay off the drugs. And if you got an alcohol problem, stay off the alcohol and giving back. They've been giving back to this community for a long time. Love these folks at Clean Cause, and you will too.
Absolutely. Yeah, those yerba mate drinks, pretty solid. It's good stuff.
You're liking those yerba mate drinks.
Yeah, good flavor.
They got a nice little kick to them too. They're really nice. They do a good job there at HEB and Whole Foods. They're at 7-Eleven. That's right.
I was there today.
They're at 7-Eleven also.
And they're here in the Covert BK studios.
Absolutely.
Got our own Clean Cause cooler over there in the corner, which is pretty great. All right. How about another scoreboard update, Buck?
All right, buddy.
Georgia now up by 10 midway through the fourth quarter against South Carolina. They were down 14-3 at halftime. They now lead in Athens 24-14. South Carolina's got the ball, but they've got a long way to go. Their offense has completely stalled out as Georgia's defense has picked things up in the second half. And don't want to count the chickens before they hatch, but it looks like Georgia might be able to escape with this one today. The biggest surprise of the day thus far is what's going on in Tampa right now, where Alabama, coming off their loss to Texas, is tied with South Florida 3-3. The second half just started in Tampa. South Florida's got the ball. Curious to see what Alabama does at quarterback. They switched from Jalen Milroe to Tyler Buckner going into this game, and Buckner's stats not very good. How about 5 of 14 for 34 yards? Oh, it looks like they already have switched to Ty Simpson, their third-string quarterback. Bucky, he is 0 for 3 for 0 yards.
They're going to unload the bench for a quarterback tonight for sure, because Nick Saban has probably pulled every strand of hair he has in his head out during the halftime.
Yeah, maybe
He really
Milroe.
is.
Maybe Milroe wasn't the problem. Like I know he wasn't great against
yeah.
Texas, but he better than the other two guys. At least that's how it looks right now. Oklahoma, no problems with Tulsa, 66-17. The score in Tulsa. Early fourth quarter action there. About number 8, Washington, all over Mel Tucker and Michigan State, 28-0. Yikes.
Maybe if we could get Mel off the phone.
Yeah, he's too busy having a 30-minute phone call right now. Hey, Coach, the game is on. Get off the phone. Finals from earlier today. Number 3, Florida State survived against your Boston College Eagles, Buck, 31-29, the final. BC had 18 penalties.
How do you do that?
And they still almost pulled off a major upset, but FSU survives. They play at Clemson next week. And yeah, if you're just joining us, Bucky, wrong again. On his 5,000 unit Gold Star lock of the week, he had K-State -4 at Mizzou. How about a wrong team favorite special as Mizzou wins it 30-27 thanks to a 61-yard game-winning field goal as time expired. Nice win for Mizzou. They are 3-0. K-State, the 15th ranked team in the country, suffers its first loss of the season. And Penn State beat Illinois, and LSU all over Mississippi State in Stark Vegas. There's your scoreboard update brought to you by our friends at Moonshine Patio Bar and Grill.
Penn State trying to make believers out of the nation, huh?
Are you a believer?
I'm a believer in that run game, and I'm a believer in that young quarterback, but they lost an awful lot of players on defense to the NFL. So I worry about the cornerbacks a little bit more so than anything on offense. They've got monsters on their offensive line. They've got real, it's been a while since they've had some really, really great offensive linemen, but they've got 3 NFL players right now on the offensive line, and they can run the ball.
Yep.
And the young quarterback will get better as week to week to week. And that was a pretty good Illinois team. It wasn't a great Illinois team that they beat, but
that Illinois team got boat raced by Kansas last week. So
yes, they did.
I don't know how great they are. But, nice win for Penn State on the road in Champaign today. We'll give you one more scoreboard update at around 6 o'clock. Once again, our pregame show going until 6:30 right here on Texas Sports Unfiltered and on the Texas Sports Unfiltered app. Interesting thing about this Wyoming team, Bug, they only have 6 penalties this year. We've talked about how Texas has played smart, sound, disciplined football. The Longhorns only have 9 through 2 games, which is pretty damn good. There were a lot of games last year where they had 9 in one game alone.
9 in one quarter.
Yeah, it sure felt like that. Wyoming, 3rd in the country in fewest penalty yards per game. They are an experienced team. They are disciplined. Their coach is pretty good. Like Craig Bull, good dude. Showed a lot of respect towards Texas this week. Has been there for 10 years, had some success, all things considered. And he's got his program installed, and he's got a lot of guys who have played in college football for a number of years. They've got a lot of COVID 5th and 6th year dudes on their team, including their starting quarterback, Andrew Peasley, who is in his 6th year. Look, Wyoming, probably not a team that's going to beat itself. Now, the atmosphere should be loud, should be crazy. Maybe the crowd accounts for a false start or a couple of dumb penalties by Wyoming, but they've been a smart, sound football team thus far through a couple of games.
They're not clutching and grabbing guys, 15-yard penalties on either side of the ball. They don't have a lot of pass interference. Tonight they may have to hold guys in that secondary so that the Longhorn wide receivers aren't getting behind them, because this is very similar to what I thought at Rice that at times happened but didn't happen enough, that you can drop back in your straight 3 deep coverage and get as deep as you can, but the wide receiver is going to start to, take that yardage and start to eat it up and still get past you. I think the same tonight.
Yeah.
I think Texas will be able to throw the ball down the field if they want to, whether they try to play base coverage or not. They should be able to get behind these guys.
Yeah, a couple of things I want to see from this Texas offense tonight. You talked about one of them a little bit earlier. I don't want the game plan to be as vanilla as what we saw against Rice.
Right.
Like that was clearly vanilla. They didn't want to put a lot of stuff on film for Alabama. And I get it. Sark might be thinking, hey,
there's nothing to hold on with Baylor. There's nothing to hold back.
He's thinking just conference play in general,
sure.
Right? Like, I want to keep a couple of things. That's fine. You don't have to bring out every cat out of the bag. You don't have to have every trick up your sleeve tonight, but a little bit better, a little bit more expansive than what we saw a couple of weeks ago against the other G5
Nothing
team
wrong with the
schedule.
reverse pass, something like that. Something, we've seen Xavier Worthy throw the football.
Yeah, last week.
Reverse. Yeah,
and then the very next play, it was a Texas touchdown.
We can do that again. There's nothing wrong with some of these plays. Plays that you want to at least have on film that you've done.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care if the other team has it on film. They know most of the teams you're going to play understand you don't have to trick them to beat them. You just have better talent. But you can let loose of some of these things. I mean, a reverse pass, but some wide sweeps, some jet sweeps where your athletes just out athlete them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that you're at the point in game number 3 before you get to conference play that you want to see those on film against competition. So tonight I'm expecting a little bit of everything from Sark. I don't expect him to think he's going to pound the ball because Wyoming's pretty good against the run. I expect for them to rush for, as I said, in the 150s, 160. But I expect when it comes to play calling, just a little bit more variety in his play calling.
Yeah, and I also want to see Texas, mainly Quinn Ewers, do a better job of taking what the defense gives them.
Sure.
Obviously, they did a great job of that last week against Alabama, but week 1 against Rice, it seemed like they were committed to the deep ball and trying to find a way to make those work. They didn't work against Rice. They obviously worked extremely well in Tuscaloosa, but yeah, they could have taken these 6, 7, 8 yard out routes whenever they wanted the way Rice was playing defense because they were just dropping a couple of safeties deep on every single play. A lot of quarters coverage too in that game too, and Texas just didn't take the short and intermediate throws, which we know Quinn Ewers is really, really good at.
Absolutely.
Take what the defense gives you. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Craig Bowl talked about it in his press conference for Wyoming this week. And just based on the fact that Texas, had a lot of success. They had a couple of deep shot touchdowns last week. I wouldn't be surprised if Wyoming drops a couple of safeties and plays a lot of quarters coverage in this game tonight. So, like, don't just be forcing stuff. Like, take what they give you, because with the athletes that you have, there should be a lot open tonight. Just make sure you're taking it.
Your tight end on crossing patterns will be there. If you want it, he'll be there. So take it when you have to.
Yep.
Take your running backs coming out of the backfield. If they're out there in the flat at 5 yards, and nobody's covering them, just take it. Let them catch and run with the football tonight. And that's what I mean, I just want to see sort of a full menu tonight before you go into conference play. Because there's no reason to hide anything. They know what you do. These teams have film on you from this point on. They understand they've played Sark for the last couple of years, so they're going to have everything that he's done. So give them a little sample tonight. Give us a little sample tonight.
Yeah, I'll take some of that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
What about improvements you want to see from this Texas team? Like, it's, again, hard to be too critical when you go on the road and beat Alabama by double digits, because nobody had done that to Nick Saban in his ridiculously successful career in Tuscaloosa. But where can Texas get better? Where would you like to see them better tonight?
I'd like to see them on first downs, run the ball better on first downs.
Okay.
That's truly what I'd like to see them get going, is in their first down run plays. Give me something. Don't give me gut plays. Don't give me stand up right behind the quarterback and turn one way or the other and hand it off into the offensive line. Give me some misdirections. You've got athletes on your offensive line, and if you have to vacate areas to run counters, run some counters. Give me some misdirections. All you have to do is get them one step going the wrong way, and you should be able to take advantage of it. And also give me some plays that will break the perimeter in your run game. I mean, that's the big thing for me, is because it's going to make that passing game, as you say, a lot easier. If you can start not to dominate in the run game, but you got to be able to do more than 2 point, whatever it is, a clip now against this group. This will be the night that I'd like to see him run. I'm not going to say often, but I'd like to see him run with success early in the game. And I'm talking about some 6 yard runs, some 8 yard runs, some break the perimeter runs where guys get down the field a little bit. You know, defensively, just keep playing the game you've been playing. Just play your game.
Yeah.
You know, play your not suffocating run game defense in between the tackles, not giving up anything inside. Because once again, they're playing against Texas, and teams that play against Texas always want to find out, are they physical enough inside? Now, since last year, they've been physical against everybody that they've played, but every team seems to want to try to, they want to test you inside.
Yeah.
Because they want to know if Texas, they still want to know, even if it's game 8, is Texas for real?
Right.
That's what is this for real?
Yep.
Are they really going to stuff the run this week? Sweating the rest of those guys, Broughton and those guys, are they going to really suffocate the run, or is this just a mirage? Well, so far it's been about a year and going on 3 games of it that's been for real. So it'll be interesting to see if Wyoming really tries to test them and spend their time trying to run the ball against them.
I think outside of 2 plays, Texas has played championship level defense this season. Like, they kept Rice out of the end zone until the very end of the game, and Rice needed a 9-minute drive to finally get into the end zone against Texas's backups in the fourth quarter in week 1. And then the 2 plays that I'm talking about, the 49-yard touchdown pass from Milroe to Burton last week that gave Alabama the lead. And then the 39-yard touchdown pass to Nyblack where Texas defenders were tackling each other instead of tackling the Alabama tight end. Like literally outside of those two plays, this has looked like a playoff caliber defense.
Oh, yeah,
like not just like Big 12 championship, like a playoff caliber defense. I want to see that again. Like Jeff Howe came on our show yesterday. He was doing afternoons also with Trey. And he's like, I think Texas is going to win. I think 37-6 was his final score. I know he had 6 for Wyoming. And he's like, I don't know how Wyoming's going to score against this bunch. That's kind of my thought too. And
so
I want to
like
be
I feel against like Rice.
I want to be leaving this game to where it's like, yeah, no, this defense, I know it's Wyoming, but hey, they put up 35 points against Texas Tech a couple of weeks ago. And oh man, if Texas was able to keep them to single digits tonight, like that's what I want. More of the same suffocating defense. They've been great against the run. They've also been really good against the pass outside of a couple of breakdowns that they had last week. But this defense, I thought it only had to be as good as what it was last year for Texas to win the Big 12. It looks like it's even better than what it was last year.
Amazing. I thought they were good last year. I thought they had come into their own last year.
It was a 10-point per game improvement from where they were in 2021.
And that's what you like to see the offense do the same thing, the improvement from game to game. I think we continue to see this from this Texas defense from last year, from game to game so far in the first 2 games. We need to see this offense do the same.
Yeah.
There's still something left on the table with this offense right now. And why save it? It's time to let it out. And it's time to let it out in this game. Give the people what the people want tonight. They want to see some great offense. They want to see great defense.
I want to see a 50 burger tonight. Give me 50 points.
Wait a minute. You were at 40. You haven't seen a 40 burger. Now you're asking for 50.
That's what I want. That's what the people want.
That's what the people want.
Yeah.
Well, give the people what the people want.
Come on, Texas.
That's right.
Come on,
give them
Sark.
what they want.
That's what we need.
Yeah. I mean, this group is not catching up to you. If you get out to a lead, they're not catching you. And if the coach feels the way that it sounds like he does, they're looking to score touchdowns. You know, every time they get the ball, we're not looking to run the clock out.
Yeah.
We get in your 30-yard line, you're going to have a problem because we're looking to score touchdowns. Make sure you continue. I think Sark has to continue to be aggressive before halftime. BK, I think he's got to watch out of just let's take it in the half, come out in the third quarter. Let's get in field goal position. No, let's get in touchdown position. Start still working on your game at that.
Yep.
So they get a little passive before the half for some reason, like, oh, we'll save it for when we get it. We get the ball in the third quarter. We'll come out smoking in the third quarter. And they play good third quarter football, but I think they're not aggressive enough before halftime.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a change in that. And then third quarter last week against Bama wasn't great. They got outscored 10-0. They obviously scored very early in the fourth quarter on that drive that started late in the third. The third quarter was a bit of an issue for this team last year.
Yep.
It wasn't against Rice. But yeah, late second, early third, kind of the last first four.
Sure.
I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more from Texas. Let's hear another one from Sark, because this is the big storyline. Once again, is this a hangover game for Texas? Is this a trap game for Texas? Are we worried that because of all of the love these players and this coaching staff, to be honest, have gotten since last Saturday, is there any chance this could be a little scary? Somebody asked Steve Sarkisian, we'll go cut 9 here, Brock. Is it harder to get your message across after a big win like what Texas had last week?
I look at it both ways. I think, one, I agree with you, that they are confident. And, I think one of the mistakes I can make is try to beat them down and then knock the confidence out of them. I've spent 2.5 years trying to instill confidence into them. And so I want to be mindful of that. But 2, I have to point out areas for us to improve and where we can get better as a team. And I think, ultimately for me, being transparent with them all of the time, good, bad, ugly, whatever that is, that I've earned their trust, that I would never guide them in a direction that wouldn't be in their best interest to perform at the highest level. And so even today when we went in and okay, here's the plan, here's the messaging, here's what we're trying to do this week, I felt like they accepted that message and they accepted it as a challenge, and now they need to go put forth the work to prepare to go do that. So, again, it's a little bit of a slippery slope because, again, when you're overly confident, sometimes that's when you can skip the details. Well, excellence lies in the details, and so we have to make sure that we continue to press upon that way and whatever those details are in any phase of the game.
Well, you don't want to be over talking to the players about what they didn't do right in the Alabama game. I mean, you got to tell them, you really did a great job of this. Coaches after a big game like that, they're looking for something, because people say, well, they weren't perfect, so let's find out what are the little things that they may have done wrong. Let's beat them down with the little things that they didn't do wrong in a big win. And he doesn't want to do that. He wants to let them know, you played a damn good football game last week, but here's a couple things. Trust me enough that you can get better at certain parts of your game, of your individual game, or you guys as a group can get better at doing this. But
he's right. It's a fine line, though, isn't it?
It really is, because, nobody plays that perfect game. And, you want to say to your group, I'm watching this film a little bit closer than even you as a player are watching it, and you didn't do this well. But you may have done it pretty damn good, but I've got to get to you and let you know you didn't do it great. And it's the players will start to feel like, hey, coach, you don't have to beat me down about that. I understood it wasn't perfect, but damn, we just beat Alabama. So he doesn't want to get into all that stuff where players start thinking, damn, coach is beating us down. We just got through winning a big game.
Yeah.
But he does have to show you some of the things that you can improve on.
Sure. And I think a lot of Texas being in the right mental state has to do with the players. Like, I know if Texas goes out there and lays an egg tonight, then everyone's going to blame Sark.
Oh, no, it won't be about the coach.
It'll be about the players. And that's why I like Quinn Ewers calling that players-only meeting early this week, just to make sure that his guys are focused on this game against Wyoming, right?
Oh, no, they're not
Saturday
playing against – by the
fun.
way, they're not playing against Rice.
Right.
This is different.
Right. All right. Well, hey, Rice is pretty good now. They're in the Big 12. Houston's out.
Oh,
Rice
that's right. Rice
Big
is
12.
in. I forgot about that.
And
Rice
I'll tell you what,
took their place.
If Texas Tech loses to Tarleton State today, Tarleton State's in, and Texas Tech's going to the FCS. That's what's happening.
Or bring in, Green Hall from down there in San Marcos.
Texas State action.
Bring them in. Drop somebody.
Yeah, but look, I've heard it from so many players over the years that the best locker rooms are player-led locker rooms.
Sure.
And if this is a legit playoff type of team this year, then this is going to be a player-led locker room, and it's going to be on the players to hold each other accountable to make sure that practice this week looked very similar to what practice last week.
Yeah, and you're going to look, and you as a fan are going to see it, from the stands or wherever you're watching it on your television. If they come out a bunch of silly penalties that they haven't had in 2 games, where they look, guys are off on the snap count, guys are kind of lackadaisical in what they do, and coaches know it even in your pregame warmups. They see the way the way you warm up a lot is kind of the way you play. If you're lackadaisical in your warm-ups and stuff, and now you're just too cool after you've got a big win, coaches can see it. They go back into the locker room, and there's a different vibe even in the locker room when guys come out in pregame warm-ups. So you got to be careful of that. But I like the fact that Sark is not going to beat the guys down about playing perfect football.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Let's hear one.
He's gonna get them to play good, solid football and look at some of the mistakes that they may have made in the game.
Agreed. Let's hear one more from Coach Sark. So the cut we just played was from Monday's press conference. Cut 10, where we're about to get to right now, was from Thursday's press conference. Somebody asked Sark if he had to challenge his guys a little bit more this week because, once again, of the massive win that Texas had this past Saturday. Here's Coach Sarkisian.
Yeah, of course we have to challenge them. I think my job as a coach is to motivate our players to be the best that they can be in every situation. And they're young, they're young people, and we all get influenced by different things. And this is the classic week where you can have a sore back by the end of the week from everybody patting you on the back, going to class or on social media or wherever else. And so I do think it's important for them to understand, when the ball gets kicked off Saturday night at 7:00, they don't spot us 21 points because we played good last week, right? That game is done, and we're going to earn whatever we get Saturday night by the way we play. And so we have to prepare for that, and we have to continue to improve our style of play. So I do think ultimately, I don't want to have to say we challenged them, but inevitably we had to motivate our guys to understand, like, hey, this is how the week's going to go. Everybody's going to keep patting you on the back. Everybody's going to keep posting different videos and their experience, and they should. It was a great experience. But we've got to make sure that we're focused on the task at hand, and that's playing really good football Saturday night at 7:00 against Wyoming.
Yeah, you have to be the taskmaster. I mean, it sucks as a coach. That's the part after you have a big win. You got to get them to understand you've got to go back to work. There's a lot of things that we can be better at. So, and it's a constant. It'll be the same after this game. Win, lose, or draw, you got to go right back to the drawing board and get right after them again, and make sure you keep their focus. It's hard. It's sometimes harder to focus after you win a big game like you just won last week. But the thing about winning, it starts to get to be a habit, and you start to do, those small things that you do to win the game that you won the week before. You continue to do it and get a little bit better the following week. And then coaches start to know, you know what, I don't have to press this guy. This guy's going to do a little bit more than he did even last week.
Yeah.
It's not about calling meetings. It's about how you handle your business once you're on the practice field. It's the way you handle it in the huddle. It's the way the quarterback handles it. It's the way the defense, one guy in the back who, 3 weeks ago was flying to the ball and showed up in the film. All of a sudden you don't see him show up because he's kind of coming jogging in there. Those are little things that coaches do. And they do it all the time. They'll look at film and say, man, I used to see you show up on film an awful lot. Yeah. Now that we're winning, you just kind of jog over to the rest of the group. I mean, those are little things that guys, they don't like it, but you have to keep on them about that stuff. You can't let them get to that part where they get complacent.
For sure. Sark's saying all the right things, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
I mean, actions speak louder than words. And
sure.
If Texas,
and we'll see that tonight.
Yeah, if they struggle tonight, or God forbid they lose tonight, then nothing that Sark said this week leading up to this game is going to mean a rat's you know what.
Right.
But he's saying all of the right things. Like his mindset, his approach this
sure.
week has sounded very similar to what his mindset and approach has sounded before every game that he's coached.
But be assured there'll be some obstacles in this particular football game because you're playing a good team. You're playing a team that's a physical team. They're not afraid of you.
No,
they're not afraid of you. As you said, they're playing you. They beat the team that beat you last year. So they understand what the physicality part is going to be. You just got to make them understand you're not playing Rice. This is a team that can beat you if you don't do the right things. You can't give them any momentum. You can't give them an upper hand. You can't be sloppy with the ball. You can't have guys lollygagging over to a tackle. If a guy misses one, that next guy has to fit right there for the next tackle. It's just how you play championship football. It's how you practice.
Right.
It's how you carry yourself. And I think Sark feels like his group is starting to carry themselves that way. But he just doesn't want to be over hard on them. He understands that the fans will see in the first couple of series what this team is going to be like. Doesn't mean it won't be a tough game. See, that's the thing. People think, well, you just got to play in Alabama. Wyoming won't be that tough. Well, you can make it tough on yourself.
You can make it tough on yourself.
You can make it tough on yourself if you're not doing the right things. And I think this team seems like they're in that right direction. But you and I and the American people will know it. I know it. You know it. The American people will know it.
Wow.
And about the first 3 series, offense and defense, where this team is going to be.
Yeah, the American people who have Longhorn Network will know it. Most of America, I don't think, will be able to find out tonight as everyone tries to scramble to figure out.
You may not have to worry about that if you can win this game.
Yeah. Oh, I think this might be
it.
The last ever Texas football game on LHN.
There you go.
Right? Like, obviously, basketball will have some games on there.
5,000 unit lock right there on your part?
No, you better not make it one of yours, because if that's the case, they'll play next week on LHN. Even though that game is already scheduled to be on a different network, they'll change it if it's your 5,000 unit lock. But no, like, sometimes Texas gets a conference game on LHN, but if Texas keeps winning,
right,
like, the nation's going to want to watch.
Absolutely.
So if the Longhorns keep taking care of business, no, every single one of their games will be on ESPN or ABC or Fox, something that more people have access to than Longhorn Network. So yeah, this might be the last ever football game where you have to scramble to figure out where the hell you're going to watch it.
Boy, I hope so.
Yeah, no disrespect to the LHN crew, but
thank you for the $15 million every year.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
Yes,
those of you who are still employed there. Hey, if you want to win a Hat Creek Burger Company gift card, 3 things: subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment. A lot of you have already done that, which means you've already entered into our Hat Creek Burger Company gift card giveaway. We're going to announce that right before the end of our show at 6:30, so don't go anywhere. You got to be listening to know if you win, because I'm going to need you to reach out to me and give me your address so I can mail you that gift card, please. But that's all you have to do. Subscribe to our channel. Also, spread the word. Like this video and leave a comment. Once again, you are entered for an opportunity to win a $25 Hat Creek gift card. And Buck, before we get to our defensive player of the game and our final scoreboard update, How about a word for Covert BK, where we are right now? We're at the Covert BK studios in this beautiful back room that they gave us. It's a good setup we got here, man.
This has been fantastic. This partnership with, of course, the Covert family has been wonderful. And the location we're at in BK here, they've got 7 brands of autos here. They got the Buick, GMC, Cadillac, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and of course, Ram. And for more information, if you want any information, because there's sales weekly. This isn't a monthly place where they have sales. They have weekly sales. Go to covertbk.com, folks, for more information. Anytime you're out here, do say hello to Dan Covert and Mike and Stacy and the whole gang. Also, they've got Covert Ford and Covert Chevrolet out in Hutto. And of course, there's Covert Ford and Lincoln right here in Austin. And nobody beats a Covert deal. Not now, not ever.
Not ever.
Not ever.
Ever. All right, one final scoreboard update brought to you by our friends at Moonshine, Patio, Bar, and Grill. Alabama has found the end zone. It's a miracle. They've scored their first touchdown in the game midway through the third quarter, and they now lead South Florida 10-3.
Wow.
Yes, that's a real score. That's the word I was looking for. With about 2.5 minutes left in the third quarter, the 10th-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide, coming off that loss to Texas, they were 33-point favorites at USF in the Charlie Strong revenge game. Maybe that's why Alabama's so bad this year, because they have Charlie Strong on their staff. Maybe that's the issue. 10-3, the score in that one. A couple of other games in progress. About Washington, 35-0 in East Lansing over Michigan State at halftime. No trouble for the 8th-ranked Huskies. More people need to start talking about them.
Yes.
We got a solid team this year. Georgia survived. They were down 14-3 at halftime at home against South Carolina. 21 unanswered in the second half. They beat USC, fake USC, 24-14. Notre Dame with an easy win over Central Michigan. Missouri, 30. Kansas State, 27. The Buck loses his 5,000-unit Gold Star lock of the day. Now 0-2 on those this year, Buck.
0-2, let's not forget that.
Down 6,000 units thus far for the people out there. Sorry about that. Nice win for Mizzou. Tough loss for K-State. They fall to 2-1. Number 3, Florida State survives against Boston College, 31-29, the final score there. BC made it very interesting down the stretch, but 18 penalties for the Eagles in this one, and they come up short for their upset bid against Florida State. And how about this score from the Big 12, Buck? Ohio 10, Iowa State 7. Final. That's right. The Bobcats out of the MAC beat Iowa State earlier today, 10-7, the final score.
Or the players at the casino or something.
They must have bet the under in that one.
Really?
I mean, how does Iowa State only score 7 points at Ohio, dude? That's not a game Texas should be losing this year. I know it's in Ames late in the year, and that place has given this team fits in recent seasons, but Iowa State is awful. Awful. And yeah, they lose to a MAC team and only score 1 touchdown against them earlier today.
You can't stop that snowball. Once these things start happening within your program, it affects the way you play. It affects the way you practice. And obviously it affected them in this football game.
Yes, and I'd like to congratulate our friends in Waco, Buck. The Baylor Bears have a win. They beat Long Island Ice-T 30-7. It's an FCS.
They put a big 30 on them.
Yeah, nice 30 rack for Baylor against whatever Long Island is.
Wow.
So they are in the win column right now. It took them 3 weeks, but Baylor has their first dub of the season. All right, let's go to our defensive player of the game. Brought to you by our friends at Kenfield Golf Cars. A little bit more on them in a moment. But, Buck, I'll give you the honors. Who is your pick for tonight's defensive player of the game?
You know, it'll be humid out tonight, so there's going to be a lot of sweat going on. So that's the guy that I'm picking, the big man. I think he's going to hold the fort. I think he's going to be fantastic against the run. I think he's going to be eyeballing the quarterback. If the quarterback is trying to get within the tackles, BK, when things break down and he can't, break it out to the perimeter because of these fantastic safeties that the Longhorns have, I believe that Mr. Sweat will be there to await the quarterback. Plus, he's going to put pressure on him when he drops back to pass. So he's been kind of the MVP over the last couple of games anyway on defense. He's been magnificent so far this season. In 2 games, I expect him to force a lot of pressures in the passing game, but to make a lot of negative run plays too for this Wyoming offense.
Okay.
So I'm taking the big man.
No problem with that pick. Like you said, he's been really, really good over the first two games.
Hard to give the big man. You know, it's always some guy that gets 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
Or, of course, you know, you could name Mr. Ford back there at the linebacker position because he is by the way, he's spectacular. He has played great football. He's played great football right now going on 2 years.
He's awesome.
He's awesome. But I'm going to try to give it to one of the down and dirty guys. It's for this one. It's a defensive player.
Down and dirty guys.
Love those down and dirty guys.
Those 3-point stance.
Oh, yeah.
Like you were in back in the day as a wide receiver. What is that?
It was bad.
Are they still doing that at BC?
Yeah.
Putting receivers.
We didn't do enough of it today to get that win.
We're 5'3", 140, putting them in the 3-point stance like you back in the day.
Whoever came up with that, wide receiver shouldn't have been. No, it was in a 3-point stance.
Oh.
And you won't, this is way back too far for you. The great Paul Warfield.
Ah, yes.
The Cleveland Browns.
Of course.
He was in a 3-point stance at one time. All wide receivers are in 3-point stance.
My grandpa had pictures of that guy in his room.
Did he really?
No.
A Paul Warfield?
No.
Come on, man.
No. Warfield was too old for my grandpa, I think. All right. I'll go with Barron Sorrell.
Okay.
It's my defensive player of the game. Haven't seen it yet from him this year. He was the sack leader in 2022 with 5.5. And, last week it was Ethan Burke. Last week it was Anthony Hill. David Benda had a sack. Like, it just kind of felt like everybody besides Barron Sorrell was able to get on the sack party against Alabama last week. And Barron Sorrell, he doesn't have a sack this season. So I think we finally get a breakout performance. I'll say 2 sacks for Sorrell against Andrew Peasley tonight. So
you like the way he's played on the outside, though? I mean,
I'll be honest, not really. He's been fine. I wanted more from him. Like, I wanted him to take a step from what we saw from him last year.
He just dominates out there.
Yeah. And he hasn't quite done that yet. He hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been as good as I thought he was going to be going into the year. Mm-hmm. So Barron Sorrell, that's the guy. Make it happen tonight, Barron. An opportunity against an inferior offensive line. Get in on the sack party because, Anthony Hill is going to make some things happen. Ethan Burke looks like he might be something special.
Couple guys looking for jobs, huh?
Yep. And, Barron Sorrell, hopefully he can make it happen tonight. And I think he will. He is my pick for our defensive player of the game. Brought to you by Kenfield Golf Cars. I saw a Kenfield golf car.
Did you?
At the synagogue today. Yeah. A couple of golf carts rolling around. They had the Kenfield sticker on the side. And I'm like, yeah, my people know what they're doing here.
I tell you, Kenfield Golf Cars, let me tell you, they were out. They've been out there in Hutto. That's Covert's. Covert Clan brought a bunch of those Kenfield golf cars from them. And they love them out there. And we see them around here, as a matter of fact, on this property.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're in the market for a new or pre-owned golf cart, I've got good news. Our friends at Kenfield Golf Cars, they're right here in Austin. They were founded in 1979. They've been around for a while. They've got an unparalleled selection of different golf carts available in both new or used. And they want to turn your golf cart ideas into reality. No job too big, no job too small. If you want to turn your existing golf cart into something special, or if you want them to build a golf cart that fits your needs, nobody does it better than our friends at Kenfield Golf Cars. Go to their website, kenfieldgolfcars.com for more information, or give them a call, 512-258-8515. Steven on the Clean Cause YouTube comment line says, Bucky was in a 3-point stance at the Chicken Ranch.
Yeah, sure I was.
Is that right?
Could have been back in those days, yes.
Can you confirm nor deny?
There you go.
Oh, man. Well, we've got about 20 minutes left in our pregame show. It feels like a good time for the Bucks 3 Keys to Victory, brought to you by our friends at Hat Creek Burger Company. Once again, we'll be giving away a couple of Hat Creek gift cards right before we sign off at 6:30. But, Buck, you've got it. Your 3 keys to a Texas victory tonight.
Well, number 1 is protect the quarterback always. And the protection of the quarterback is everybody's job. It's not just the quarterback himself getting rid of the ball when he has to and reading his reads and getting rid of it. It's the offensive line's job. It's the running back's job. It's the wide receiver's job. This group has done a fantastic job in protecting Quinn Ewers when it comes to and especially in the running backs. I've seen guys step up in there. I know Jaden Blue, people continue to talk about maybe he's not ready to do that type of protection. But while he's been in the game so far, he's been okay. Nobody's just steamrolled him into the quarterback's lap.
Yeah.
And so these guys have done a pretty good job. Obviously, the wide receivers are on the same page with the quarterback because that's a part of protecting the quarterback too. Get to where you have to be where you have to be, turn around and catch the football. Number 2 is establish the run game early. For me, a good run game tonight against this group who is well established. They've got some veteran players, as you say. Some guys have been there 6-7 years. To rush for about 160 yards tonight will be a really good start before you get into conference play
Okay.
for this running back group. I'm talking about as a group.
Yeah.
I mean, if one guy gets 130 and somebody else gets 30, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, any way you can get it. And also to stuff their run game. Make them kind of one-dimensional. Make this quarterback have to drop back in the pocket, 5-step, 3-step. Make him have to pass the ball to win the game. So you've got to stuff their run game too. They want to find out how tough the Texas defensive line is, but you have to be able to stop the run. You have to be able to run the ball, and you have to be able to stop the run. I expect those two things to happen. But first of all, always protect the quarterback.
Yep.
You got to protect your quarterback. You can't let this kid get hit.
Keep him healthy.
You can't let a stray bullet come in there tonight.
I think Malik Murphy is a solid player. I think Arch Manning's going to be a solid player. Hell, both of those guys might be great quarterbacks down the road. But if you don't keep Quinn Ewers healthy, all of the goals that we have
absolutely
go by the wayside. So
we're going to have to circle that. That may be the number one goal every game, it seems like.
Keep Quinn healthy. Keep Quinn healthy.
And again, you're playing Baylor next week.
Yeah. You or I could play quarterback against those jabronis, and I think we'd win by a few touchdowns.
Them no credit.
No.
They got a big win, though. I mean, they got a big win tonight.
Yeah, against the Ice-T. That's good job. Good job there, Baylor. But I like that. Yeah, keep Quinn Ewers healthy. He can get hurt in this game just as easily as he could have gotten hurt in last week. So,
can you see, BK, can you see this group rushing for 160 or more?
Yeah, I can. Wyoming's run defense has been good, and nobody's been able to crack 100 yards against them yet. But look, it's Texas and they're Wyoming. Like the offensive line, hopefully they were awesome pass blocking, right? Protecting Quinn last week. He barely got hit. He didn't get sacked in that win in Tuscaloosa. But I think they can not only do that again when protecting Quinn, but I think they are able to assert some dominance blocking for the run as well. And they are able to create some holes that we haven't seen really. Like there hasn't been a ton of holes for this, for these running backs this season. I know part of it, like sometimes the running backs have to make a guy miss to pick up long runs, but it'd be nice to see some bigger holes for these guys to run through.
Gaping hole that they can just fly on through and just continue into the secondary.
You're all about those gaping holes, right?
I am.
Yeah, you're a big fan of that. That's what you're looking for. And then stop the run. Yeah, I like those keys, right? Wyoming, they want to run the ball. They want to control the clock. They want to keep Quinn Ewers in this Texas offense on the sideline. If Texas's run defense does what it's done over the last
a lot of 3 and outs,
year and 2 games, then it's not going to work for Wyoming, and Texas is going to get to do what it wants to do on offense for 4 quarters tonight. So good 3 keys to the game. I like that one, and they are brought to you by our friends at Hat Creek Burger Company. And
love Hat Creek.
We're still in September, which means the 15th birthday celebration is going on at Hat Creek. Of course, Hat Creek started as a food truck behind Star Bar on West 6th all the way back in 2008. Since then, they've continued to grow. How about this? 26 locations across the state of Texas, a ton of them in Austin, but they're in Dallas, they're in Houston, they're in San Antonio, they're in Temple. And yeah, even you Baylor fans out there, you can enjoy some Hat Creek burgers to celebrate your huge win over an FCS school. They've got you all month long with great specials, and you can always get a fantastic burger, the good fries, the hat sauce. I love the hat sauce.
And find out, I mean, if there are locations, there are certain locations that serve an incredible breakfast. If you don't want to, if you love that, if you love the bacon, the eggs, they've got it, the pancakes. Find out the location near you that has breakfast. They'll be serving that at 7 a.m.
Underrated breakfast tacos.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep, and they are giving out commemorative cups with all drink orders through the month of September. So as part of their birthday celebration, you get you a drink, you're going to get a pretty cool cup that you can take home as a little bit of a thank you from Hat Creek Burger Company. All right, let's hear from Alex Taylor. So this is a guy who covers Wyoming. He's a beat writer up there for a couple of different Wyoming newspapers. We'll go cut 11 here, Brock. And look, Texas is trying to avoid the same fate that Texas Tech suffered a couple of weeks ago, right? Texas Tech jumped out to a 17-0 lead in that season opener. Looked like they were going to coast to an easy victory, but obviously the exact opposite happened, and Wyoming ended up winning that game in double overtime. Alex was on with Chaos Theory, Rodney and Wags, earlier this week, and they asked him, what was the problem for Texas Tech? Why couldn't they find a way to beat this Wyoming team? Here's what Alex had to say.
What really killed Texas Tech in week 1 was they get up 17-0, so they 2 quick touchdowns. I mean, they had like a 5-play, like less than 2-minute drive, and I think it ended with like a 40-yard touchdown pass. So they got up. The passing game got them up 17-0, and then they tried to go to the run game, and it didn't. Like they just had so many drives stalled in the. I think they scored 3 points between the second quarter to overtime, and they kind of just went away from the passing game. So I think I would, like I said before, I mean, I would be pretty surprised if Texas takes that same approach where you get up early and then you kind of put it on autopilot and try and run 3 quarters off the clock.
Yeah. So
you and I both watched that game, and they did just exactly what he said. They got up early and they kind of nonchalantly played football from that point on. They thought, oh, this 17's enough. They'll make another mistake. We'll get another 2 or 3 touchdowns somehow. And then they started running the ball, and that's not what Texas Tech does. That's not their MO.
No.
They throw the ball down the field to their big, tall wide receivers. Instead, they tried to run clock like they wanted to get on the bus and get back home.
Yeah, with the best quarterback room in the country, like Joey McGuire was saying before the season.
Right.
Yeah, Tyler Shuck was 31 of 47 for 338 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game. Like, he had some success through the air, and the weakness of that Wyoming defense is their secondary.
Sure.
So I don't know why Texas Tech abandoned the pass game, and they tried so hard to run the football in that game, even though it was clearly not working. That's what Texas cannot do, right? Like, they get out to this big lead. That's what we saw from Sark last week, maybe more than any other game that he's coached since taking over here in Austin. Aggressiveness, right? Throwing on early downs, taking those deep shots, just
continuing to try to score.
Keeping Alabama on its toes, and it worked for all 4 quarters, especially in the fourth quarter. I mean, Sark was just playing chess. Well, it looked like Nick Saban was playing checkers on the other sideline. Like, that's what you got to do. If your slogan is all gas, no brakes, this is that game. Don't take your foot off the gas, even if you get a big lead. Like, keep your foot on the gas. Don't coast. Don't think you have it. Don't just say, we can run the football and that's fine. No, keep doing what you do best as an offense, which is right now throwing the football and picking up chunk plays through the air.
Yeah, let that be. If that's going to be your identity, do the best at it that you can. So every time you get it, you're looking to score. You're not running plays just to be running plays. You're running plays to score touchdowns now.
Yeah.
And I started to see a little bit of that last week, and hopefully we'll see that again tonight. But yes, we do want to see them run the ball with some success tonight. I know I want to do. I want to see it because this is a long season to go. That you just can't have your quarterback sitting back there chunking it all the time. You got to give those running backs and that offensive line a chance to run block. And whether you're going to need them anyway, you're going to need them to win a championship. And so might as well start it in week number 3 because you're going to conference play. Because after this, it's going to be all about winning the games. We need to win the games any way we can win the games. And we got to throw it 75 times. Let's throw it 75 times and do that.
Well, the expectations for this Texas team changed after last week.
They did.
Right? I think you and I talked about this.
Changed for me.
Earlier in the week. Yeah, it was like, I think if you asked 100 Texas fans before the season started if they would have signed up for 10-2 in a Big 12 championship, 95 to 99 would have said yes. Where do I sign?
I would have.
Right, I would have too. But now, wouldn't 10-2 be a little bit disappointing?
Yes, it would.
Like, you feel like, you've got a chance to do something bigger than that this season.
This is right there. It's right in front of you.
And you've got a mulligan, right?
Yes.
You can lose a game and still make it to the playoff, which
True.
I think a lot of Texas fans are thinking that right now. And a lot of national people are thinking that right now, too. You get a mulligan. Don't use that mulligan tonight, please.
Yeah, I mean, I had this team losing 1 game when we were all said and done. And now I have them. Why should they lose 1 game? Who is it that can beat you from this point on?
Texas.
Yeah.
Texas can beat itself, and that can lead somebody else to finding a way to beat Texas.
Absolutely. Or you can come out and be complacent and play sloppy, at home in front of your crowd. You can have that little bit of a hangover from last week. Boy, that would be so disappointing to see. That's the part I don't think we're going to get. And that's why I think that you're going to see some special things happen with the special teams tonight, BK, because they're not going to let that happen. They're not going to let that part of it, okay, so we can get in here, we can go 3 and out or whatever. If Wyoming goes 3 and out, I think they're coming after the first punt. They're gonna cause things to happen for Wyoming that they're not gonna like. And I think special teams tonight will be very special.
So we'll get to our game prediction brought to you by Paul's Motorworks here in a second. I want to ask you about the first half line. Texas is a 15.5-point favorite in the first half tonight. So that's where you find out if your team comes out sluggish, right?
Yes.
Like Vegas thinks Texas should be up by more than 2 touchdowns.
I think they should be up 21 points.
Okay, so you think they will? Because that's basically the answer to the hangover question, right? If you think there will be a little bit of after effect from the celebrating that happened this week on campus, then you probably think Wyoming's going to keep this thing interesting over the first 30 minutes. But if you think Texas, this is a different Texas team, and there's not going to be any problems from all of the partying that happened. I think our guy Brock might have been a part of some of the partying going on campus at the Fountain last week. Cannot confirm nor deny. But that was probably going on all week long.
You're better yet to say confirm. Yeah, don't worry about
you think we
denying.
can confirm it?
Yeah, I think you can probably confirm that. Yeah, I expect this team athletically to get past and behind Wyoming's secondary.
They should.
I expect to see that. As I said, if they're playing 3 deep coverage and dropping back as far as they can, I think they'll get outrun. I think they'll go flying right by those guys, and Quinn Ewers will throw them bombs at them. I think that's going to happen. I'm not saying I want to see some consistent run game, but I'm not thinking I'm going to see a bunch of big play runs. I think that'll come later.
Yeah.
Once they get into league play, I don't know if that comes tonight, but ground and pound for 6 and 7 yards, some nice runs that way would be nice to see. That's the part I want to see, but I think they'll be up by 3 touchdowns.
Here's your random Wyoming nugget as we get closer and closer to kickoff at DKR tonight. They've got a defensive lineman named Cole Godbout. Godbout.
Yes.
No relation to you?
No. Spelling totally different.
Yeah, I don't know why he'd be related to you. That wouldn't make a lot of sense considering it's a completely different name. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Or Goldbout or something.
You know any Goldbouts too?
I've heard all those.
You know any other?
B-O-A-T.
Oh, do you know any other Godbolts besides the people you're related to?
I do.
Really?
I do. There was some down in Waco. Or up in Waco.
Oh.
Sorry about. Why is Waco always down to me? I've never even wanted to say Waco's up there. I always say they're down because they're down there. Right?
Yeah, well, they're below us.
There you go.
We don't like them very much.
There you go.
Was it Chip Godbout or Chip Godbolt and JoJo Godbolt? Those are their names.
Don't I wish?
Yeah, you do wish. You do wish right there. All right, it's that time, Buck. We're in the final 10 minutes of our pregame show. Once again, thanks to the great people at Covert BK for having us out. We absolutely love this place. A reminder, the day before every home game, we'll be out here for our Friday pregame luncheon at Covert BK.
Casey Studdard was a blast.
Casey Studdard was here yesterday. I know the Alabama game wasn't a home game, but we had Michael Griffin the day before the Alabama game last Friday. And then our very next Friday luncheon will take place, 2 weeks from yesterday, the day before Texas welcomes Kansas to DKR, Texas Memorial Stadium. And we're working on a big-time, big-name guest. We can't tell you anything yet, but just be on the lookout and the listen out for that. But thanks again to our friends at Covert BK for having us out. Also, got to give a shout-out to one of our newest sponsors, Buck. How about Salt Traders?
Yes, sir.
Coastal Cooking. This place is legit. If you're looking for a spot to watch Monday Night Football, they've got the best Monday night happy hour in the world. All night happy hour starts at 3:30 on Monday. $5 off all beginnings. You get $1 off all oysters and drinks as well. They have happy hour every day, but Monday it lasts from 3:30 until close. And hey, on the weekends, they've got $1 off oysters until 2 p.m. A great happy hour, awesome food, awesome drinks, a couple of locations, one in Austin right by Zilker Park and the other in Round Rock as well. Thank us later. Go to Salt Traders, get some of the best seafood that you can find here in Central Texas. And once
what
again,
you'll find there also?
What's that?
Allstat beer is there. Yes, it is.
I know it's there.
It's there.
It is there. It's good stuff.
It's there. It's everywhere.
They got it at Jack Allen's too.
They do.
Both of those spots.
I love it.
Yeah, love both of those places, and happy they have jumped on board with us here at Texas Sports Unfiltered. All right, Buck, it is time for our score prediction brought to you by our friends at Paul's Motor Works. What is the final score? Who wins and by how much?
Well, I'm going to take the University of Texas 42, Wyoming 13.
Oh, so they don't cover? So you've got them winning by 29?
Sorry.
You can't give them 30?
Sorry.
Dude.
42-13.
Oh, okay.
You were going to love that win. You're not.
No, I'll be
worried.
perfectly fine with 42-13. My
You know
cousin
why?
doesn't
Because
bet on
you don't
Texas.
bet on Texas
No,
games anyway.
my
so
cousin
that's
has
fine.
learned. Yeah, we don't make those mistakes.
That's a
again.
good solid. That'd be a good solid victory. That tells me that they've got the run game going. It also tells me that this special teams is going to put them in position to score 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
With special teams tonight.
I'm going to go a little bit lower scoring than you. I'm going to say 38-10. Texas wins. So also not covering. Now, earlier this week, I was like 21-24 was going to be the margin of victory for the Longhorns. Now I'm up to 28. And the good news is, if you are betting on Texas or if you're looking for a blowout tonight, my cousin is 0-2, and I am 0-2 on Texas picks against the spread this year. But, I think Texas wins. I think it's pretty easy. I don't think there's going to be a lot of stressing going on. But I think Wyoming's defense is decent enough to where they keep Texas just shy of 40, which I wouldn't love. And I think Texas's defense is good enough to where Wyoming's not going to get more than 10.
Horns got to win the turnover battle, obviously.
They don't have to. They can lose the turnover battle and still win this game, right?
Yeah, by about 7.
Yeah,
if that happens.
Well, you want them to.
That means if it's a single turnover, but it just can't be. It can't be a slop fest. It just really can't.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to expect that from this team after the win at Alabama.
Yeah,
they're just not.
We know
I don't expect
Texas.
to see them be sloppy at all.
Yeah, they're trying to go 3-0 for the first time since 2012. I wonder the last time Texas has gone 3 consecutive games. Forget 3 straight to start the season. Just 3 games in a row without a turnover because they haven't turned it over yet. Now, they put the ball on the turf a couple of times at Bryant-Denny.
Doesn't count.
But they recovered it.
That's
so
right.
No turnovers through 2 games for this Longhorn bunch. Quinn Ewers has done a lot of things right. That's my favorite stat of his. And obviously the whole offense has been a really good protecting the football. I wonder the last time Texas has gone 3 games in a row without a turnover. Obviously, if they can play clean tonight, they will accomplish just that.
We know when we picked some different players to be the offensive player of the game, but Xavier Worthy will be big again tonight.
Yeah.
He's just that good because he's got his hands on the ball an awful lot of times. Punt returns tonight will be big for him. At home, just feel the punt, please.
Catch the punt.
Catch the punt.
Yeah.
Catch the punt
Well,
first.
there's going to be no punts to catch because, like you said, there's going to be a punt block touchdown tonight for the
There you
Longhorns.
go.
That's your bold pick.
That's my bold pick is yes.
No 1,000 units on that one, though, right?
No.
Thank
They're
God.
going after it. They're gonna make an effort to go after a punt tonight.
I'm fine with
that. They
were
very good at that last year.
Yeah, they were. And you think of the Mac Brown heyday, right? Texas was doing that. It felt like every single week they were blocking a punt or a field goal. If you can get back somewhere close to that, that'd be a damn good sign.
And I know you'd like to see them score more touchdowns in the scoring zone and kicking field goals.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. Some red zone woes against Alabama last week. That defense is really, really good. Their offense clearly has some issues. But, if Texas can clean things up in the red zone, they should be able to crack 40 tonight, which is the hope. The score prediction is brought to you by our friends at Paul's Motor Works.
Love Paul.
Oh, yeah. They've been providing complete foreign and domestic automotive repair in Austin since 2000. They specialize in BMW, Mercedes, Mini Cooper, Audi, Volkswagen, and Porsche. But look, they do more than that. That's where I go to get my oil changed. Like just basic car maintenance, they can take care of you. Awesome people, big Longhorn fans, big Texas Sports Unfiltered fans. Well, it took Paul a while to figure out how to use the YouTube. He spelled it with the letter U like you did.
Did he really?
Yeah, he's one of those guys, but great people over there. Don't trust your car to anyone. I get it. You've got a lot of options. There are a bunch of car repair places and oil change shops out there. These guys are awesome people. This is where the Buck and I like to go to get our cars taken care of. Check them out online at pmwaustin.com. We thank them for their support of our score prediction here on the Texas Sports Unfiltered pre-game show. Before we get out of here, because we promised it, time to announce the winners of those 2 Hat Creek Burger Company gift cards. The randomizer has spoken.
I'm gonna find out what that randomizer looks at. Is that just something on your computer that you hit a couple numbers or you just
It's
pick the
literally
names?
random.org. I just type in everybody's name
And it pulls it serious?
and you click randomize and it just picks the name.
Like the bingo thing where the balls just kind of pop up? That's what it is?
Yeah, old man, like the bingo thing.
Okay.
Is that where you're going after this?
No, I'm not going to go watch the game.
Is this game too late for you tonight? It is a 7:00 kick. Aren't you
gonna be
usually in
just
bed?
fine? Just fine.
The winners of those 2 Hat Creek gift cards, Blake Moody and Jama Vaughn. Congratulations to both of you. Please reach out on the text line or DM me on Twitter at Brad Kellner or text in 512-222-9328 so I can get your address so I can mail those gift cards
Very
to
nice.
you. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. We really do appreciate your continued support of Texas Sports Unfiltered. Thanks to Covert BK once again for having us out. And thanks to all of our great pre and post game sponsors. And yes, that's right. We will have post game. It'll be Trey. It will be Kevin Dunn immediately after the game. You don't have to wait an hour to hear from these guys and those guys and get your random scores from around the country. Now, these guys are going to be talking right after the game, Trey and Kevin live right here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like this video. And those guys will be there to answer all of your questions and obviously respond to all of your comments and hopefully talking about another Texas victory. Buck, this was fun. Great stuff, my man.
It always is with you, BK. And tell your family happy Rosh Hashanah. And I know you'll be back at Temple tomorrow.
Yes.
Because you will not be resting tomorrow.
No.
You got work to do.
We got work to do at the Temple. Happy New Year to you and your family. I know you guys celebrate that too.
I do. Anything you celebrate, I celebrate better.
I felt anti-Semitic. We're out of here. Shout out to Brock, our on-site engineer,
Brock.
doing great work as always. For Bucky Godbold and for Brock, I am BK. Thank y'all so much for watching. Until next time, y'all stay safe, y'all stay healthy, and hook 'em.